you're not big enough. So dream big or go home. So I want you all to think about dreaming big when it comes to research, because that's what's going to ultimately make a difference. Next slide, please. President Kennedy always looked to the future. Those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. In other words, as you get mentored and you have those tormentors who make your life difficult, don't think on that. Don't dwell on that. Think about the future of what you want to get achieved. Next slide, please. This is my best one, Audre Lorde. Trust in the power of your vision. She goes, when I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I'm afraid. If you dream big and you get scared, find mentors around you who can guide you. It's important to have the ability to trust your vision. When we were proposing our study to train folks in Ghana and Nigeria, you know what the reviewer told us? They said, this is a well-written proposal, but it is too ambitious. If Dr. Gedegbe does this, that would be a great thing. 10 years later, 190 scientists, we've brought, 100 folks to Ghana and Nigeria, and we're still kicking, right? We have to trust that vision. Next slide, please. And there's hope. So it doesn't matter how long it's going to take. If we begin to invest in research today, maybe, just maybe, the same way we have a black justice in the US, Africa may then become the next frontier for how we do research. Tanzania with JKCI may be the next frontier for where we begin to do cutting-edge research around complex cardiovascular disease programs. Next slide, please. I have to finish up to acknowledge my mentors. Next slide. This is my family. You guys met my wife already. There are 3 men that we're raising. I have to acknowledge without them, it would be difficult to do this work. Next slide. Tom Pickering, that is the father of white coat hypertension. Tom mentored me. You got to find aggressively good mentors. This is Stressa in Italy. Tom and I will go to Stressa every year as part of the European Center of Hypertension. He died shortly after I got to NYU. But I continue to serve on that guideline committee for another 5, 6 years because Tom took me there. Next slide. Mary Charlson, you must say the Charlson comorbidity. She taught me everything at Cornell, and I continue to follow that methodology. And then John Allegrante taught me behavioral medicine. I still hang out with these people. Please don't forget your mentors. Seek them out, find your passion. Next slide. And hopefully, we'll change the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Ogedegbe, for that wonderful presentation. Next up, we're introducing Dr. Anna Berstein, Associate Professor of Population Health at NYU Grossman School of Medicine. She does modeling and data science to inform health policy and resource allocation. She works in New York City and 7 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. Dr. Bernstein.
Thank you so much. Very difficult act to follow, but in this amazing place. So before I dive in, I've been asked to share a few thoughts about extramural research funding and navigating the opportunities and challenges in resource-constrained settings. First, I have a question for all of you. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, I don't need a slide for this question. What do you call an alligator wearing a vest? An investigator, that's right. So when we think about extramural research funding, it's about taking that investigator path, being entrusted with funds, in our case primarily it's the dollars of the US taxpayer, and being viewed as an investigator, a scientific investigator. And the first thing that I want to say on this, next slide please, is that non-traditional paths are very much okay. And non-traditional paths are particularly common, I think, in resource-constrained settings because all of us hustle when we're young. When resources are scarce, we hustle even more. And for myself, I personally took a non-traditional path. I started my career in the height of the AIDS pandemic in vaccine discovery. I wanted to discover an HIV vaccine. I proved the negative, unfortunately, in my dissertation research at MIT, that that particular branch of HIV vaccine discovery would never work. I was worried there may never be a vaccine for HIV in my lifetime, and I still worry that there will never be at least a highly effective vaccine. And I began to obsess, what do you do about a pandemic when there's no vaccine? So I made a huge career change. I went over to a portion of Gates Foundation, helped to start an HIV and TB modeling program. It was mostly private sector and philanthropy. And I spent 10 years there before I was able to join Benga's department at NYU. So I started as assistant professor. I had never written a grant. I had never read a grant. I'm pretty sure I had never laid eyes on a grant. And yet I was able to sort of recover from that non-traditional career path to where I'm now an investigator and working with several of you, including JKCI, to come up with new proposals. And so how is that possible? How do you take someone who's 10 years out of academia, no idea where to begin with grant writing, and get them to be a extramurally funded investigator? Next slide. These are what I view as the key ingredients for extramural funding. And the first one really, really worked in my favor because I needed so much mentoring. It's dedicated mentoring. It's people who have taken that path, who are willing to teach you every step of the way. And I was so fortunate to have that in spades at NYU. But you know, you've got to hustle. It can be your institution, it can be people you know. Work your network to find mentors. Institutional grants management support. So when we submit a grant, it's 200-300 pages, of which 15 or so pages is your science, and everything else is this big administrative lift. So for institutions, if we're really committed to investigators, we need to provide that grants management support so that they can focus on science. Protected time. I was given 3 years where basically my job number one was to figure out how to become an extramurally funded investigator to develop grants. We have to protect time in resource-limited settings that is so challenging, being pulled into clinical care, being pulled into the operations of the research that you're doing, but it's just, I don't see a way without protecting the time of future investigators. You need a track record of productivity. A great way to prepare for earning a grant is to begin to write papers, so using some of that protected time to establish that track record. And then a conducive environment. So you don't have to be at the #1 university. You just need to be able to say with honesty that where I am has what I need to accomplish this science. And then for larger grants, preliminary results. For the smaller grants, not required. And strategies to reduce the risk of failure. So think about when the grant is being reviewed, what are going to be the worries in the reviewers' minds? Your mentors can help you think. And explain what your strategy is so that your grant is perceived as very likely to succeed. Next slide. So really all of this is about feeding a virtuous cycle of extramurally funded research, because when we're talking about science, what is science, right? We know our fields, we stand on the shoulders of giants, and as scientists, as investigators, we have this incredible privilege to add a little piece to what everyone who came before us has built, a little piece of knowledge. And then we, in the medical field, we want to use that knowledge to improve health. And so we want to create this engine, right, where we understand the field, we understand the knowledge gaps that currently stand in the way of improving health, and that explains the significance of the grants that you will write. We then turn that into specific aims, so what are typically 3, can be 2, can be 4 unanswered questions, and how they would then advance knowledge or care or policy, so they would fill that gap. Then we explain the rigorous methodology that we'll use to explain those questions, explain that we have a team that has all the expertise and resources that we need to make it happen, and then link it back to impact. So why the work is answering the question that would improve knowledge or care or policy, and then guess what? It will enable future work. It will lead you to the next question, and then you're right back to where you started. So we're all, it's like we're building a great thing. We're all trying to add one stone to this great canon of human knowledge that we're building and using that knowledge to improve health. And that can be done anywhere, right? And you know, in your environment, you see the gaps, and so you can create this virtuous cycle. To repeat Benga a little bit, next slide, the engine of this has to be your passion, and it has to be your curiosity. You have to genuinely want little more than to answer these questions. These are your burning questions, and that sincerity will come through. It needs to be logically watertight, so you need to be able to logically connect the gap you want to fill to the work you want to do, to the methodology, to the impact. And it has to be very clear that all of these logically connect. And then the last, maybe not so glamorous thing is to anticipate critique and see what you can do to, I like to say, reduce the cross-section for critique. So if somebody's going to fire an arrow, reduce that cross-section for critique so that you won't be hit in the target. Next slide. So how do you do that? How do you know how to use your passion? How do you have that logically watertight case and reduce the cross-section for critique? The solution, I think, is to get feedback in any way you can. So it begins with your mentors. I'm fortunate enough to be primarily based in New York City, where the culture is very forward, very blunt. If people have something to tell you, they will tell you. They do not worry about insulting you. And that has been such a blessing for grants, because people are brutally honest by culture. If you're in a culture where people tend to be nice, even when they have some feedback to give you, tell them, please, be brutally honest, right? Because that's what you need. Lean on your colleagues. If you have lab meetings, if you have faculty meetings, just take them over. Just say, if we have an extra 10 minutes, I need feedback on this idea. If your institutions are not doing mock reviews and you're trying to cultivate investigators, put together mock reviews or partner with an institution that has them. This saved me because I had no exposure to grants when I started. And what I was able to do is have senior faculty pretend like they are my grant reviewers while I got to sit quietly in the room and listen to their conversation and then ask questions. And it opened my eyes to this process that seemed so opaque before. And then when you submit your grant, you may not make it the first time. Your actual grant reviewers are giving you valuable feedback. So if it's at all salvageable, if there's any way you can address the comments, revise it and revise it attentively, right? Because your reviewers, they may seem grumpy when you get comments. There's always a little bit of time to lick your wounds, but that feedback is, they're trying to help. They're trying to improve your science. So work with them as part of this feedback that you're getting. Lastly, if you can, see if you can gain some exposure to grant reviews. For example, with the U.S. National Institutes of Health, there's an early career reviewer, or ECR program, where less experienced junior investigators get to participate in the process of reviewing other people's grants. And again, it's so eye-opening. It really lifts the veil for this process so that you can then do your very best. Next slide. So I will say one of the things that makes me so excited to be here in Tanzania is that my team is partnering with JKCI. We're doing some grant writing, just getting started on an exciting topic, leveraging our respective expertise and our resources. This is my third visit now to Tanzania. We've been iterating just the one-page AIMS page. We've been tossing it back and forth, iterating it, improving it. We're giving ourselves plenty of time. We're aiming for a June deadline. This is how early you need to start grants. And we would love feedback. So I have to say, I had to restrain myself to not put our grant up on the screen today because I want feedback from every single one of you here in the room, but I won't make you do that now. But anybody who has a spare moment, I would love feedback. The JKCI team would love feedback. We would love to give you feedback on your grants. That's really what this is about. Next slide. So just to summarize, first of all, if you would like to be an investigator, do not stop yourself because you've taken a non-traditional career path. You do not need to have a traditional career path, but what you do need is mentoring, protected time, and institutional infrastructure and support. Then you find your passion, you find your idea, and you work to build a logically cohesive flow from the gap in knowledge that you are so passionate to fill to what you will do to the impact that you'll have. Make your passion the engine, give yourself plenty of time. We're in February, we're talking about June. That's about the amount of time you should give yourself. And any way you can, get feedback. Next slide. And I'm putting my email address up there because I love to give feedback. So I expect to hear from people in this room. So, and I hope to hear from all of you. We're all in this together. Thank you so much.
That was Professor Berstein. Benga and his entire group are all grant machines. Anna Berstein herself has almost 3 or 4 R01s, NIH. That's the highest level of grants. Thank you. Great presentation. Next up is Professor Scott Sherman, a.k.a. Your Excellency. That's a joke we had earlier on today. He's a professor of population health, medicine, and psychiatry. He also does research on smoking cessation and telehealth. He also leads a large cohort study in Abu Dhabi. Professor Sherman, please come up.
Thank you, Professor Ogedegbe, for that introduction, and thank you very much for inviting me to be here. It is an honor to be here to give a talk in this room and to talk with the people I've been meeting over the last 2 days. My talk is on fostering collaboration in low-income countries, and I will be honest that I'm very nervous about giving this talk. I give talks all the time about my research, and that's really easy. We do a clinical trial like Benga talked about, Professor Ogedegbe, and we present the results, but this is a much harder one. It's hard to give this one without sounding really stupid, because it's stuff that's really, well, you'll see when I get into it. So next slide, please. My disclosures are that I have funding from a bunch of different parts of the US government, and then also for the cohort study that I do in Abu Dhabi. Next. So I was also worried about this part because the title was Collaborations in Low-Income Countries, and the UAE is not a low-income country. Like the US, they're a high-income country. But then as I thought about it, I do have others that Turkey, Egypt, South Africa, and Russia. And Egypt, like Tanzania, I think is a lower middle-income country at this time, according to the World Bank. And all of those were good experience for this talk. To make it more meaningful, I'm actually going to give go by example rather than just say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So one of the bigger studies I did, this is going back about 20 years ago, I did what was initially a 60-site cluster randomized trial about ways for helping people to quit smoking. We randomized the sites, we randomized the weeks, all sorts of stuff going on. It was initially 60 sites, and for a variety of reasons, it got dropped to 35. But basically, this is a way to help a health system get people to do better at getting their patients to quit smoking. Next slide. And it worked. We got 20% of all the people referred to be abstinent 6 months later. We figured out among these 2-by-2 randomization which was the best way to go. It was so effective that in California, where we were, 10% of all the referrals to the state quit line were coming from our study. So really impactful thing. The doctors loved it. The patients loved it. And it actually became the standard of care for all the sites. So a colleague just emailed me from Northern California. Is like, we've got this follow-up data. Since you stopped the grant in 2005, we've had another 35,000 referrals, of whom about a third have quit smoking. Do you think anybody will care about that? I'm like, absolutely. This is sort of what you want, of translating into practice. But now we're getting back to the topic here. So next slide. So how did we get there? This was one of these grants, back up a slide. This is one of those grants where the budget wasn't that big, but basically I had to get the clinical system to be a partner, I had to get the state quit line to be a partner, and everybody basically coughed up $1 million out of their budget towards this thing, so we equally shared the pain. And when I tried to get the clinical system on board, we had a bunch of meetings and about why they should implement my smoking cessation study rather than a dozen other things that people were talking about them. And the clinical leaders had a whole bunch of questions and objections, which as a researcher I could have said, you know, that just doesn't make sense. But I put on my sort of, you know, my doctor-patient communication hat and sort of thought back, it's like, you know, this seems like a big concern for you. And so we talked through their concerns, we adapted some things in the proposal. Next slide. And it was really the fact that everyone's concerns are important, which is part of collaboration. That the other, you know, they have plenty of people coming to them with ideas, all of whom, as investigators, who are all investigators tend to be a bit narcissistic. They all think their idea is the best idea in the world. But the clinical system, they're busy. There's a million different things going on, and they agreed to do this project. Next slide. So, Abu Dhabi, that I've been going there for 13 years now, pretty much every 2 to 3 months. That's a lot of trips halfway around the world, all of which is to do a cohort study where we just finished our recruiting 15,000 people a year ago. But before I even went there, before the first time, you'd better believe that I did every bit of research that I could on the health system, the population, so that when I went in there for even the first meeting, I knew what their rates of diabetes were, what their rates of smoking were. And so that when I talked with people about my cohort study, I was able to say, you know, I knew their data as well as they knew their data, so that we could then talk together to think about how this cohort might benefit me, but also benefit them. Next slide. So you've got to do your homework. If on either side, coming in to thinking about what might be in it for the other person, what's the field you're playing in. Nobody wants to do a really well-designed study of an unimportant problem. Next slide. So I had a grant from one of the foundations in the U.S. to design. I see patients within the Veterans Healthcare Administration in the U.S., and women are a priority population. There aren't a lot of women who had served in the military, but they are very important to the system. And so we decided to do this very elegant grant to come up with a program to help women quit smoking. Next slide. It was a great idea. It was really nicely designed, you know, qualitative part, and then we designed a program and test it. Next slide. Kind of failed miserably. We designed a really nice program and nobody wanted it. It's sort of like we had a great party and nobody showed up. The facilitator, though, was really happy with this. We had a really low budget, so we got her to basically not donate her time, but to do all of the work on the qualitative work for half of her usual rate. And a lot of it, she was really happy, and it started off with, I asked her the question I ask so many people, you know, what would be ideal for you? And my colleague at NYU, Donna, would always roll her eyes when I would ask this question, but it's a super important question. Because in this case, you know, she said, it would be really amazing if I could be on a paper. I'm like, well, that's the easiest thing in the world for me to do. This costs me nothing to get her involved in a paper. This made her consulting business better. It made her happy. And time again, that question has saved me so much, because a lot of times I can give somebody what is ideal for them at really very little cost to me, or sometimes no cost, like in this case. And I don't know if I don't ask the question. So in this case, next slide, it was very easy to make it a win-win situation. Next. So there's a saying in the U.S., give credit where credit is due, but I'm thinking back to Professor Benga's talk the other day, so next slide. That's not right. Next, give it where it's needed. With the grants that I do, you know, like with this big health system one that I mentioned first, that I went to the leader, like one of the senior people in the health system to try and get this implemented. It's like, you know, I'm happy to have you get all the credit for this. I don't need it. The credit within the health system doesn't help me at all. Same thing with the junior investigators. We always try to structure it so that they're benefiting out of this, because I don't need the benefit. I'll be able to get another grant. I have to work hard, as Dr. Burstein just said, but I can do all that part. I'd much rather spend the time, the credit, helping the people who are going to need it the most. And that goes to writing the next grant, writing papers, the business model we tend to do in my group is that the junior investor, we go in as multiple PIs, and the junior person is always the lead. By doing that, I help them to get the grant, they get great experience, and that everybody wins in that case. Next. Thinking back to Dr. Wolfer's talk yesterday about quality and safety, talk to each other. It's hard to say this one without it sounding silly, but it's true. That you can't really have a good collaboration unless everybody is talking with everybody. And next slide, along those lines, everyone brings something to the table. One of the junior faculty I mentor, Omar, he and I were just in South Africa for his grant. When I hired him as a postdoc, he had just finished his PhD in Virginia. And the first few, he was in meetings with me, and several times he leaned over to me and said, "Is it okay if I ask this?" And it's like, dude, I'm sorry, my Los Angeles time is showing, but it's like, don't ask me. If you have a question, just ask it. I think that's the culture in New York City, and is everybody brings something to the table. If you have something to contribute, you should contribute, whether you're high on the totem pole or low on the totem pole. In my group, we have research assistants who lead papers because it was their idea, and they get, with mentoring, they write the paper. All of them are on their path to something else, to get a medical school or PhD or master's degree. But if you don't go with the attitude, if you go with a hierarchical attitude, you miss all this stuff that everybody around the table brings to it, which I always am impressed at how much what happens that I wouldn't have thought about. Next. Same way of saying that. So to summarize, everyone's concerns are important. Listen to what they're saying. Do your homework. Really make it a win-win situation. Help the people that need the help the most and need the benefits from this. Talk to each other and get everybody's input. Next. So the last 2-3 minutes I'm going to spend as a smoking cessation person. I, of course, did my homework coming here, thinking about tobacco in Tanzania. Next slide. So looking at global data from WHO and others, the rate of smoking in Tanzania has actually dropped by 2/3 or 3/4 over the last 20 years, which is amazing. If these data are accurate, that's down to 9% of adults. Next slide. That's great. That's fantastic. The next slide. Unfortunately, if you want to have those 9% quit smoking, and I've heard a lot over the last 2 days about prevention and how important that's going to be to prevent the burden of non-communicable diseases, you need to help them quit smoking if you want them to succeed. It doubles or more the quit rate. And you have no good way to do that here. There's no quit line to deliver counseling. The 7 medicines that are approved in the U.S. by the FDA that all at least double the quit rate are not legally sold here. And there's not really widespread support for cessation. Next slide. So that's not good. I think it's really an excellent opportunity for a text messaging study. This is a systematic review showing that while there's lots of evidence, so counseling doubles somebody's rate of quitting smoking, text messaging also doubles it, but next slide. But it turns out that almost none of the studies that show that it doubles it are in lower middle income countries. Next slide. So Nan Giang, one of my mentees, did this study showing that in Vietnam, text messaging was very feasible and acceptable. In Brazil, it worked as well as telephone counseling, but cost half the amount. Next slide. So JKCI already has a really well-developed, robust program reaching out into the community. And if 9% of people smoke, and this is being done with thousands of people, you're going to get hundreds of smokers you identify. It would be great to work together to develop and test a text messaging intervention to help them quit smoking, because that's as scalable as you can get for an intervention, because you could basically put this in place. It's all automated. You just have to build it. You know, there's the startup cost, but then once it's up and running, pretty much everybody here has a phone, and it doesn't need to be a smartphone. So, next message. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. All our speakers have been real great with time. So just a reminder to everyone, please prepare your questions because at the end we hope to have some time where we can have questions and discussions. So the next speaker is a good friend, someone who's actually my master's and PhD students are on. A good example of someone who is in diaspora but making sure that they're doing something beneficial to our country. So I'm talking about Dr. Peter Basabo, who is a postdoc and research scientist at NYU Langone Health Sciences, and of course still collaborating with Ifakara Health Institute. He will be talking to us today about leveraging artificial intelligence to enhance medicine. Karibu, Peter.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Samson. That was a wonderful introduction. So my talk today, I think, is going to be a little bit provocative. So I'll start by asking this question. How many people have had GPT, ChatGPT? How many have used it? Great. Next. So let me start by, in case you don't know what is artificial intelligence, it simply, refers to a software capable of learning any task. So it's just computer trained to do stuff. And this is very simplified definition of artificial intelligence. Developing AI has been the great dream of the computing industry. And this has been for decades. Like, the question was when computers will be better than humans at something other than, making calculations, right? What can we do with this technology? So now with machine learning and large amount of data, which is now available, and the computing power, sophisticated AIs are reality, and they will get better very, very fast. Next slide. So, because now I'm talking with, medical personnel, so what does AI bring in medicine? Of course, AI can be applied in all the fields and sectors, but because now I'm talking in front of medical doctors and health personnel, probably it's worth talking the application, at least currently, in medicine. So the uses of AI in medicine have been growing in many areas, including the analysis of medical images. There's a lot of work which has been done in there. The detection of drug interaction, the identification of high-risk patients, and the coding of medical notes. Okay, so you know what I mean here. Another? So I'll go specifically on ChatGPT because this is now like the talk of the town. Everyone is talking about ChatGPT. So there are various forms of artificial intelligence. But today in this specific talk, I'll specifically focus on what we call large language models with an emphasis on ChatGPT. And ChatGPT, if you have never wondered what does that mean, and it's just generative pre-trained transformer. That's what it stands for, okay? So ChatGPT is developed by OpenAI, and it was launched November 2022. So it's just 2 years, 1 year, So it's pretty new application. And ChatGPT release actually sparked other, development of competing products, including BARD. So BARD is developed by Google. Okay, we have NBot. This is a version of Chinese Google called Baidu. We have that LMA. That's by Meta. Thank you. We have Crowd, and we have Grok. Grok is developed by XAI, previously known Twitter. So they developed their own product. So going back to ChatGPT, So it has excelled in conversation. Actually, you can convert with this, carry a conversation with this tool, just like the way you be conversing with a human being, okay? So it can answer questions. So it's unlike when you're typing something in Google, so it's just typing and then it can't carry that follow-up, question back-to-back, conversation. But with ChatGPT, it's something which you can have a follow-up question. So you ask a question and then it answers and then you kind of give a follow-up, question. So it's a conversation. And it provides, so it can provide information on across a vast range of topics, making it an evolutionary tool in AI communication. So what I'm showing you here is one of the things which few examples on how ChatGPT is already used in medical application. So one of the things which is really used is in medical note taking, okay? So GPT can write a medical note on the basis of transcript of a physician-patient encounter. So instead of probably, you're listening to a patient, instead of sometimes, culture is different. Some people might find rude, I'm talking, you're busy writing, you're not even looking, there's no eye contact. So this one can even help. So you can keep on conversing with your patient, while you're recorded, and then ChatGPT can now summarize what you and put in medical note. So it can produce notes in several well-known formats, such as, it can be subjective, objective, assessment, or, if you want to put in a plan. And also it can even include billing automatically in that. So that's an example of, oh my God, I have to apologize on that. Not even, but the reason I put that one, that's one of the studies which has been published in New England Journal of Medicine. So what they did, they tried to compare, so they took a conversation between a doctor and a patient, and then they asked ChatGPT to summarize that, okay, and see how it does compared to a human doctor doing that. It actually did a very good job. So down there I have added the paper. In case you're interested, you can go and read about that in details. Another application, another cool thing with ChatGPT, so you can even go back and ask to check itself whether it has done a pretty job. Is there any errors? Okay, so it can auto-correct itself. Okay, so that's another thing with when it comes to ChatGPT. Next slide, please. Knowledge. So even though Chat was trained on, free available, information online, but it was tested on answering USMLE. So USMLE is a United States Medical License Examination. So one of those questions, and then it was given to ChatGPT. Really, the answer was pretty much correct, and the more they tested it, 90% it was correct. It was giving correct answers according to USMLE. Think about that. Okay? Next one. This is even more scary. So it can do medical consultation. So it was tested, okay, can you even do a consultation using ChatGPT? And this was another example where they tried asking questions and try to see how ChatGPT can use
Okay, so thank you for the wonderful introduction. As stated, I will be discussing I'm from the United States, but my parents are from the Caribbean. And after I finished my training in internal medicine at Columbia University in New York, I worked for a large nonprofit organization called Partners in Health, founded by Paul Farmer. And their first site was in Haiti. And Haiti, for those who may not know, is a country in the Caribbean. It shares half of an island with the Dominican Republic. And as you can see in that map there, it's very close to Cuba, just to kind of get everyone situated. It's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere and is also the first free black republic after colonialism, after the slave revolt. So that picture on the left, that's me with the internal medicine residents in Haiti and a few of the attendings in Haiti. I lived and worked in Haiti for 2 years as a junior attending in the internal medicine wards. So there I am with my team. And there's an image of the hospital, the Partners in Health Hospital in Mirebalais, which is about 2 hours north of Port-au-Prince, which is the capital of Haiti. Next slide, please. Next. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a case. And this, unfortunately, is a very common case that we would see in Haiti. So a 19-year-old woman was brought into the hospital after giving birth about 3 weeks earlier. She's cool to the touch on exam. She has an altered mental status. She has low blood pressure, and you think she's in shock based on her physical exam. She's hypotensive. She's tachycardic. She has an elevated jugular venous pressure. She has crackles on exam and lower extremity edema. Next. So you do a point of care ultrasound, and that shows that she has a severely reduced ejection fraction, confirming the diagnosis of peripartum cardiomyopathy, which was your suspicion. Next slide. And can you hit play? So this is a representation of a common type of echo that we would see in Haiti. So this is a parasternal long axis view and an apical 4-chamber view. And I'm sure what you can appreciate is that her ejection fraction is very low, probably around 10%. So severely reduced ejection fraction. Next slide, please. And can you play those? Okay. And when we fan posteriorly, what we can see is she has thrombi in her left ventricle, multiple thrombi. Here's a contrast image. So her altered mental status was actually a stroke, unfortunately. She presented with stroke due to the hypercoagulable state postpartum and a severely reduced ejection fraction. Next slide. Okay. So the resident team initiates dobutamine. That's the inotrope that they had available to them in Haiti at that hospital. They were able to stabilize her, also put her on anticoagulation because of the thrombi that she had, and she survived. It was a long road for her, but she survived, and that was a testament to the collaborative international medical training from Partners in Health, and we talked a lot about collaboration today and also yesterday. Next slide. So this is a major issue in Haiti, in the Caribbean, but also in sub-Saharan Africa. Heart failure is a big issue. So at the Mirebalais Hospital, over 40% of admissions to internal medicine were for heart failure. That's very high. 60% of those admissions were women, and 25% of women admitted were admitted for peripartum cardiomyopathy. So Haiti has the second highest incidence of peripartum cardiomyopathy, second to Nigeria. Next slide. So what are some of the barriers that I encountered when working in Haiti? One was healthcare workforce shortage, which is very common in low and middle income countries. There are probably now about 12 cardiologists in Haiti for a population of 12 million. And a lot of those cardiologists are mature in age, so they're retiring. So Haiti is, going to have a crisis pretty soon in terms of healthcare. Insufficient education, because what ends up happening is you have general practitioners, nurses, non-cardiologists having to take care of very sick cardiac patients. And so then there's a lot of task shifting that happens. So you need to educate these non-cardiologists on how to treat cardiac issues. Again, equipment, limited access to providers, and healthcare costs, because patients often have to pay out of pocket. So what are some of the solutions to this? In my opinion, technology is a major solution. maybe not the only solution, but one. It helps with access. I think education is also very powerful, and also international collaborations. Next slide. So once I started cardiology fellowship, one of the residents in Haiti reached out to me and asked me to help them create a cardiology curriculum. So that's what we did together. My co-founder, Dr. Virtulo St. Joy, who then went on to do cardiology training in France because there are no cardiology fellowships in Haiti, so you have to leave the country in order to become a cardiologist. So we created a virtual curriculum, which you can see here, and it was virtual for two reasons. One, because of the pandemic, and two, unfortunately right now, Haiti has a level 4 travel advisory, which means you can't travel there just due to the instability in the country. So we're still trying to support the doctors there, and we were doing that virtually. Next slide. Again, leveraging technology. We published the impact and the results of our curriculum in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology in 2021. We adapted a very common educational model called the ADDIE model, and we made sure to include the Haitian doctors in every step of the process. Next slide. But what became very clear based on the feedback was that the doctors, the general practitioners, and the nurses really wanted to learn hands-on skills, specifically echo or a focused cardiac ultrasound. Next slide. So this is what I'm currently working on at Yale. So we were thinking, how can we teach ultrasound at a distance, completely virtually, because we can't travel to Haiti right now. We can't bring a big group into Haiti. So let me first talk about the equipment that you see on the right. So we used a portable ultrasound device called Cosmos. And the reason why we decided to use that portable device is that it has AI capabilities for both image acquisition, so you can acquire images with AI guidance, and for interpretation, specifically ejection fraction. And we used, on the bottom, it's essentially a robot, a telemedicine robot device called Teledoc. We use it in the US a lot for telestroke and tele-ICU units. So a doctor can bing in through the robot and can see the patient in the room, can interact with the patient and the team. You can also move the robot like around the room. And so we said, let's send these things to Haiti. Let's see if we can combine them. They've never been combined before. And can we teach the internal medicine residents ultrasound this way? So we chose a public hospital near Port-au-Prince in Delmas called Hospital La Paix. We started off with a survey and a pretest to understand the residents' fund of knowledge. And they were ultrasound naive, so they had never done ultrasound before. Okay, so can we teach them virtually? Next slide. We then had them watch videos on how to obtain basic ultrasound views, and we separated the residents into 8 groups, so 2 residents per 1 mentor. So the mentor in the United States would bing in to the robot, so they could see the mentor on the screen, and we would teach them and direct them how to obtain the basic cardiac views. We had 4 groups use AI, and the other 4 groups did not use AI and just used verbal instruction. Each group had 2 sessions, each 4 hours. The first session was with a volunteer normal, standardized patient, and the second was a patient from the ward. Next slide. For phase 2, we had the residents interpret their images. So after they had image acquisition competence, they started scanning real patients from the emergency department, medicine wards, based on predetermined symptoms, so they had appropriate use of ultrasound. Shortness of breath, chest pain, for example. They had to complete an electronic interpretation form that was then overread by cardiologists in the United States. And they had no PACS, no EMR. So through Google, we basically bootstrapped and created a PACS for them for this project. And we're currently overreading and interpreting their images now. Next slide. The third phase, which we're going through now, is when a patient had severe cardiomyopathy, severe valvular disease, we would refer them to local cardiologists. So the cardiologists on the ground were involved in the project from the beginning. So they would then get a full echo and then treatment by the cardiologist. Phase 4, we're going to do a post-test and focus group because it's very important to get feedback from the residents to see how we can improve on the project, and then we'll analyze the data. Next slide. This is just a flyer that the doctors in Haiti put together. They were very excited, so that's what that is. So this is the interface of Teledoc. So basically Teledoc is an app that you can have on your phone or on your laptop, and this is what the mentors see. So we see the residents in Haiti, We see their images they're obtaining real time, and then we have all these controls on the bottom where we can zoom in, zoom out, and move the robot around. Next slide. So we're just going to, I'll play this demo. So what you're seeing, these are residents in Haiti, never having done ultrasound before, trying to acquire basic ultrasound views. And they're talking to a mentor on the teledoc, and the mentor is directing them on how to move their hands to obtain the image. Okay, and the camera will pan out so you can see him on the screen. Okay, so he's talking to them, he's directing them, and he's able to see their hand placement and the images they're obtaining real time. Next slide. And yep, play this. So this is what he's seeing, the mentor. So he's seeing the residents in Haiti. Again, he can zoom in on their hands to see their exact placement, and he's seeing their images real time as they're acquiring them. So he's able to direct them and instruct them on how to move to optimize their image. So that's the image acquisition. Next slide. Okay, we'll skip this because these are just more demo videos. So next slide. Okay, so now I'll briefly talk about some of the work that I did in Haiti, and that was, I was a representative in one of the faculty with the American College of Cardiology, and it's an echocardiography course in collaboration with the Kenyan Cardiac Society, and I do want to thank Dr. Bernard Samia, who's the president of the Kenyan Cardiac Society, for these slides. So the course is 4 months long, and at first it's online, and then they have in-person sessions. So next slide. So the reason why this initiative was started was due to a need to increase capacity in echo across the country, specifically in this case Kenya, but also from what we learned yesterday, this is needed in Tanzania also. So the training was offered to all types of practitioners, nurses, physician assistants, sonographers, general practitioners, internists, anyone who wanted to learn echo. The trainees were drawn from both the public and private sector. There was a small fee, but there were scholarships available for those students who could not afford it. And this was sponsored through the American College of Cardiology, some industry funding, and then also some volunteers. Next slide. Yep. Thanks. Okay, so even for the echo course in Kenya, the teaching was virtual. They would have 2 lectures per week on Mondays and Wednesdays over 16 weeks. And then for 4 days, faculty from the US, such as myself and some other people from ACC would fly down, and some local cardiologists to do the live in-person teaching and hands-on skill development. They had to keep a log book. Next slide. And then they also had a post-test. And if they passed the post-test and they completed everything they needed, they would get certification. So they would get certified in echocardiography. So the program started in 2022. There are 18 students per the course, and Dr. Samia and the Kenyan Cardiac Society have trained about 52 trainees in collaboration with the American College of Cardiology. So they're currently working on sustainability, working to expand the program across the country, and his hope is to build an echocardiography academy of Kenya. Next slide. Okay, this is just the in-person teaching. Next slide. And this is our cohort when I was in Kenya with Dr. Samia there, and then another mentor of mine, Dr. Marietta Ambrose. Next slide. And so thank you. Just want to say thank you guys. This is Haitian Creole, Me en pile chai palu, which means many hands lighten the load. So thank you to JKCI, Dr. Benga, Dr. Samia, and then Yale, and my Haiti team. Go to the next slide. That's my Haiti team here. I couldn't have done it without them. And next slide. And a thank you to one of my mentors who unfortunately passed away, Dr. Paul Farmer.
All right. Thank you very much. Maybe I'll call all the speakers to come over here. We only have like 10 minutes for questions. But and after the event, they'll still be around. So if you have questions, that'll be your time to interact more with them. And please take advantage. We already have MOU with NYU and JKCI. So they are mentors if you want to work with them on your on your research, grant writing, and all that. And Benga, Professor Benga, sorry, we are not fair to you, moving you back and forth. Big man, but you're very simple. So that's really great. So I hope there's a mic in there. If you have questions, you can either mention the name or just ask, then I ask them to go there and respond. Do you have some questions from the audience? Just raise your hand. The mic is there. Yes, there's one at the back. So, Professor Benga, as we're waiting for questions, quickly, can you talk briefly on how, if you're a clinician, how do you balance providing service at the same time doing research or writing grants? If you can talk briefly on that as we get the mic to the person to ask questions.
So I think, thank you. I think it depends on the stage of career. If you're a junior faculty, somebody who just started, you got to come into the process. And that means you have to spend a lot of time. And so typically you want to spend maybe about 30%, 40% of your time doing the research, and then the other time to do your clinical. The difference between here and in the US or in Canada or in England is that we have to pay for our research. So it's not like you have time. You have to pay for that time. But here, you're paid already. You work for the government. You work for the hospital. So you don't need that much time. But if you're senior, like Dr. Kisenge, then you become an administrator. You will have built a team, hopefully, that can then continue to do your research.
Thank you. All right, are we ready for questions? Yes, go ahead. We cannot hear you. Check the mic, please.
I have a question
Sure.
to my guy, Dr. Miladi,
Yes,
regarding these AI tools. Like, how do we utilize them? These stuff like ChatGPT, while at the same time we are saving our creativity.
No. Sorry, we didn't hear that. Do you mind repeating, please?
How do we utilize these AI tools like ChatGPT, while at the same time we are saving our creativity? Because these devices, these tools, they have the tendency in one way or another to make our creativity a little bit less due to the oversimplification and stuff like that. Yeah, so how do we utilize them while at the same time we preserve our natural creativity? Yeah.
Yeah, so if I got your question correct, so you're asking how do you maintain your integrity or understanding your skill set, right? So that's one of the questions which most people have been raising around these tools. But this is not the first time we're having this technology, this kind of technology. You can even remember when scientific calculators came, right? The first question was, okay, so people are not going to be able to do math. But now, we had to think around that, like, okay, what kind of math we can do? There are things which calculator can do, but there are things they can't do. And math is still math. Not everyone loved math, okay? And we still have, great mathematicians. Another example is like Google Map, right? You have Google Maps. We still use Google Maps. But so it depends on how you want to use Google Map. You can use Google Map to help you optimize which route will take you shorter time rather than going somewhere blindly. So it depends on how you think about this tool. If you want to be lazy, you're going to be lazy. Even without these tools, you can choose shortcuts. But shortcuts are always not, end up well. So I would say, yes, those challenges are there, but you have to navigate. And this is not the first time we're having those. Again, if you have more questions and you want to learn about this, so Samson's team at Ifakara Health Institute, they can actually help navigating these tools. And we can keep on, talk about this and, teach each other. Everyone is learning about how to adapt artificial intelligence. So it's not that something has an answer of everything.
Okay, another question? All right, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. My question is to the last presenter, I think Dr. Haney.
To who?
Dr. Haynes.
Dr.
Sure.
Haynes, yes, the last presenter. I found your study very interesting in Haiti and what you did in Kenya. Maybe I missed it, but is the study in Haiti still ongoing? Because you mentioned there were 2 control groups. One was using AI and one was just virtually on the phone getting instructions from their mentors. So do you have any preliminary results to share, or what was the feedback from the residents of the AI versus just virtual on phone call mentorship? Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your question. Yeah, so the study is still ongoing, but what I can tell you is that with the AI, the students or the residents were faster. So they were able to acquire the images more quickly. And so very quickly, the way it works is as they're getting closer to an optimal image, they get a green indicator telling them that they're moving in the right direction. And the further away they go from an optimal image, it turns red. So that guidance, we found that they were able to get the images more quickly.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll wait for the signal when we can stop. So, what next? Next question, yes. Please.
Mine is not a question. I just don't want to miss an opportunity. Professor Benga, what do I need to do to be your mentee?
I guess you're flattering me there. It's an honor. You have to pay me money to be. And I don't accept Tanzanian shillings. No, but it's a good question, because one of the things I said is that you really have to aggressively seek mentorship. You can't do it alone. It's impossible. And so to be my mentee, you have to really hound me, right? You have to, when you go to national meetings and you find people you want to really be there, you want them to be your mentor, praise them. We all love to be praised. So go to every meeting that Dr. Kisenge or Professor Jinabi or Makubi are attending. Sit where they're sitting. And when they see you 5 times, at some point they will listen to you. He's been hounding me for some time now, so now I have no choice. He's shaming me in public. Just send me an email, and I'm your mentor.
Thank you, and that's a promise.
I have a quick question. The question is for Professor Sherman. One of the attendees today, a doctor and internist from Mwanza, approached me and said she's very interested in starting a tobacco quit center. So I do tobacco, you do a lot of tobacco. So how can she start? The numbers show that there's low smoking in Tanzania, but she says, I beg to differ. There's a lot of smoking in her area. So she wants to know how to be a CTTS and how to maybe start a quit center. And so give her some advice.
That's a great question, and certainly an important one across most of the world. This is the leading preventable cause of death. When I think about what works to help people quit smoking, it's medications, counseling, and follow-up. The more visits, the more sessions, the more counseling you can give them, the better. Here the challenge is the medications aren't available, but counseling is. And it doesn't have to be somebody at a high level. In the U.S., where we have many more doctors and psychologists, most of my studies, the counseling was delivered by people fresh out of college that I trained. So the counseling is not difficult. It's just setting up a clinic allows you to pool your resources. In the U.S., we can't get people to go to those clinics, so we basically, the first 3 or 4 grants that I did were delivering the counseling by telephone, which works just as well. So when you think about this clinic, which I think is a great idea, don't be confined to the walls that in the building. People should be able to get counseling by phone, and it doesn't need to be by video. Video doesn't add anything to telephone counseling at this point. So I would say think about how you're going to, what's the system that you're setting up this clinic to make sure that they get at least 1, ideally up to 4 sessions of anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, giving them advice, probably over the phone.
Thank you very much. So that marks the end of our session. Again,
One question.
Oh,
It's over?
Yeah. Yes,
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, so again, a round of applause for everyone. Thank you so much for traveling all the way from the United States and for your willingness to collaborate, and for JKC as well, willingness to collaborate. This marks the end of our session. Thank you so very much. Make sure you interact with them at the end of this event. Asanteni sana.
Sound check, DJ. Uko vizuri? Sound, sound. Microphone. Sound, sound. Test. Microphone, microphone. Microphone. Sound, sound. DJ. Uko vizuri? Microphone, microphone. Bado inalia? Microphone, microphone. Sound, sound. Microphone, microphone. Microphone. Sound. Sound check. Sound. Sound check.
Hello, hello, tunajaribu microphone tena. Profesa Janabi, salamu alaikum. Mara mwisho tulipokutana Dar es Salaam ukachallenge mwili wangu. Nimeanza kufanya diet na mazoezi. Asante sana.
Microphone, MC, microphone, sound, sound, sound.
research activities. Research articles in peer-reviewed journals. We also supervise research activities from students at both basic degree level to master's level to even PhD level.
We serve patients not only from all regions of Tanzania, but also from neighboring countries, from Kenya to Malawi, Comoro Island to Zambia. Patients seek solace and healing within the walls of JKCI. Our institute is equipped with ultra-modern technology, state-of-the-art theaters, an intensive care unit, and patient rooms. We have highly qualified staff dedicated to patient care. Basic and advanced investigations, treatment of cardiovascular diseases, cardiothoracic and vascular surgery, and state-of-the-art cath lab services are just the beginning.
We have maintained the international standards because of the infrastructure, because of the equipment that have been invested here. Most of the doctors here have been trained in different countries. So the standard that we have is also at the international standard.
And there's exciting news at JKCI. We're expanding our services to meet growing demands. A new building is under construction, set to broaden the scope of our services. We are introducing new VIP wards and a VIP clinic, increasing the level of comfort and care for our patients. The Institute now
sana ya kuwa naye kuweza kufunga mkutano huu. Naye si mwingine ni Mheshimiwa Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi. Pale atakapokuwa anaingia, tafadhali sana naomba tutaweza kusimama kumpokea kwa shangwe, nderemo na vifijo, lakini tutaendelea kusimama kwa ajili ya wimbo wa taifa wa Zanzibar ukifuatiwa na wimbo wa taifa au wimbo wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, na tutamalizia na wimbo wa Afrika Mashariki. Kwa wakati huu tukiwa tunasubiri, naomba niwakaribishe ndugu zetu wa Brass Band waweze kutupatia burudani. Brass Band, karibuni sana. Mheshimiwa Rais ameshafika, yuko anakagua mabanda na muda si mrefu ataweza kuingia na kuweza kuungana nasi. Niwaombe sana timu ya JKCI na Watanzania wengine wote tuweze kukaa na majirani zetu, ndugu zetu kutoka nchi mbalimbali na kuweza kuwasaidia kutafsiri kile ambacho kitakuwa kinaendelea kutokea mahali hapa. endapo ataingia, tafadhali naomba muweze kusimama tuweze kumpokea mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi kwa furaha, na zaidi ya yote tutaendelea kusimama kwa ajili ya wimbo wetu wa taifa Zanzibar, ukifuatiwa na wimbo wa taifa wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, na mwisho tutamalizia wimbo wa Afrika Mashariki. Baada ya hapo, utaratibu mwingine utakaoendelea nitaweza kutangaza. Niwaombe wale ambao mko sana viti vya nyuma na kuna nafasi nyingine hapo katikati, basi muweze kuchukua nafasi hizo, na ikiwa kuna watu wako nyuma kuna nafasi mbele, karibuni muweze kukaa karibu na ndugu zetu kutoka mataifa mbalimbali na kuweza kuwasaidia kutafsiri kwa yale maeneo ambayo watahitaji muweze kuwapatia tafsiri hiyo. Our beloved guest of honor is about to grace us with his presence. Once he enters this hall, I kindly request you all to stand and give him a warm reception. Then afterwards, we will sing the anthem for Zanzibar, United Republic of Tanzania, and East African Community. Brass band, karibu, naomba wote tuweze kusimama. Tafadhali wote tuweze kusimama. Anaingia mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi na tumpokee kwa shangwe. Brass band, karibu. Nisikie makofi na vigelegele. Naye si mwingine ni mheshimiwa Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi. Nisikie makofi tele. Karibu sana mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi katika mkutano huu wa kimataifa wa magonjwa ya moyo. Naomba tuendelee kupiga makofi viongozi wetu wakiwa wanajipanga. Asante. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, meza kuu na washiriki wote, kwa heshima ya taifa letu, naomba tutaimba wimbo wa taifa wa Zanzibar ukifuatiwa na wimbo wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania na wimbo wa Afrika Mashariki. Brass band, karibu. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, meza kuu na washiriki wote, karibu muweze kuketi. Mheshimiwa Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi, Mheshimiwa Hassan Namis Hafidh, Naibu Waziri wa Afya Zanzibar, Dr. Amur Mohamed, Kaimu Katibu Mkuu Wizara ya Afya Zanzibar, Bi Asha Resa Izina, Kaimu Mwenyekiti wa Bodi ya Wadhamini JKCI, Dr. Peter Kisenge, Mkurugenzi Mtendaji JKCI, Profesa Mohamed Janabi, Mkurugenzi Mtendaji Hospitali ya Taifa Muhimbili, Dr. Asha Mahita, Mwakilishi wa Wizara ya Afya Bara, wageni wote waalikwa, washiriki wote wa mkutano huu, mabibi na mabwana, Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, tunakukaribisha sana katika mkutano huu wa kimataifa wa magonjwa ya moyo, ikiwa ratiba yetu ya leo ni ya kufunga mkutano huu ambao umeandaliwa vizuri sana na Taasisi ya Moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete, na dhima ya mwaka huu ni maendeleo katika utoaji wa huduma ya matibabu ya moyo Afrika. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, nikiangalia nyuso za washiriki wote wa mkutano huu, wamefurahia sana ujio wako na tunakukaribisha sana. Naomba tumpigie makofi Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, kwa kuanza rasmi ratiba yetu ya mchana wa leo, naomba niweze kumkaribisha Dr. Peter Kisenge, Mkurugenzi Mtendaji wa Taasisi ya Moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete, kwa ajili ya salamu na utambulisho ili uweze kufahamu adhara hii iliyoko mbele yako. Naomba tumkaribishe kwa makofi mengi Mkurugenzi Mtendaji.
Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, Rais wa Serikali ya Mapinduzi ya Zanzibar, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, Katibu Mkuu Kiongozi na Katibu wa Baraza la Mapinduzi, Mhandisi Zena najua hayuko leo, lakini Mheshimiwa Naibu Waziri wa Afya wa Zanzibar, Mheshimiwa Hassan Hamis Hafidh, Mheshimiwa Naibu Katibu Mkuu wa Wizara ya Afya, Dr. Amur, Mkurugenzi Mwenyekiti wa Bodi wa Taasisi ya Moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete, Asha Izina, Mkurugenzi Mtendaji wa Hospitali ya Taifa Muhimbili, Profesa Mohamed Janabi. Naomba nitambue kwa kipekee kabisa wajumbe wa bodi wa Taasisi ya Moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete. Mheshimiwa, kwa ruhusa yako naomba niwasimamishe uwaone. Najua sio wote wamekuja, lakini naomba msimame wajumbe wa bodi. Yes. Mheshimiwa, kwa nini nimewasimamisha? Taasisi yetu imekuwa ni moja ya taasisi bora Afrika, na sasa hivi ndio taasisi bora Afrika Mashariki na Kati. Mimi hawa nawaita a winning team. Ni kwa sababu ya miongozo yao hivi vyote ndio vinavyotokea. Ndio maana nimeomba niwasimamishe. Naomba nitambue wakuu wote wa taasisi waliokuwepo hapa, MOI, NHIF, na wakuu wa taasisi upande wa Zanzibar, wakurugenzi wote wa Wizara ya Afya Zanzibar na Tanzania Bara kama wapo, naomba ni watambue. Wageni wa wetu kutoka all delegates outside Tanzania, if you can stand. All delegates, if you can stand. All delegates, Professor Benga and the others from US, Turkey, can you stand? Mheshimiwa Rais, mkutano huu umekuwa na wageni wengi, wengine wameshaanza kuondoka, lakini karibu nchi 30 zimetuwakilisha. Lakini kuna jambo moja ambalo niligundua wakati unasoma Uturuki. Mkuu wako wa idara yuko hapa, Professor, if you can from Turkey. Yes, yupa. Alikuwa mwalimu wako. Nashukuru sana. Asante. You can sit. Washiriki wote kutoka Zanzibar pamoja na Tanzania bara, tuna washiriki karibu 500. Washiriki tu kutoka Zanzibar walikuwa 100. Wageni wote wa heshima mliokuwepo hapa, mabibi na mabwana, waandishi wa habari. Awali ya yote naomba nichukue nafasi hii kumshukuru sana Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kutuwezesha kukutana leo tarehe 10, siku ambayo tunakwenda kufunga kikao chetu cha magonjwa ya moyo, ambapo tulikuwa tunajadili maendeleo ya magonjwa ya moyo katika nchi za Afrika. Kwa hiyo siku ya leo tunakwenda kufunga. Nichukue nafasi hii kutoa shukrani zangu za dhati kwako Mheshimiwa Rais wa Serikali ya Mapinduzi ya Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi kwa ushirikiano na msaada unaoendelea kutoa kwa taasisi yetu ya moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete. Umekuwa mstari wa mbele katika kuhakikisha tunafanikisha mambo mengi kwenye taasisi yetu. Hii ni mara yako ya pili kuja kama mgeni rasmi. Nakumbuka mara ya kwanza ulitufungulia yale matembezi tembea na Jakaya Kikwete yenye nia ya kupunguza haya magonjwa yasiyoambukiza siku ya tarehe 28 mwezi wa kwanza 2023. Lakini vile vile umekuwa mtu wa kwanza kuisaidia taasisi yetu. Taasisi yetu inapokea wagonjwa zaidi ya 4,000 kutoka Zanzibar na wote wanalipiwa na serikali ya Zanzibar. Ina maana nini? Maana kwamba hela zile tunayoizalisha ndio inaweza imetusababisha haya maendeleo. Kwa hiyo ni serikali yako imeleta maendeleo kwenye taasisi yetu ya Jakaya Kikwete. Tunashukuru sana. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, mkutano wetu umehudhuriwa na wakufunzi wabobezi katika masuala ya moyo katika mataifa mbalimbali ikiwemo United States of America, Australia, China, German, Poland, France, India, Turkey, Israel, Spain, Egypt, Mauritius, Zambia, Rwanda, Botswana, Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria na mataifa mengine ambapo wengine walikuwa wanajiunga kwa njia ya Zoom. Aidha, katika hapa nchini tulikuwa na watu 500 kama nilivyosema hapo awali, na wametoka kuanzia hospitali ya taifa, hospitali maalum mpaka hospitali za wilaya. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, mkutano huu katika siku hizi mbili umeangazia mada mbalimbali ikiwemo matumizi ya akili bandia, artificial intelligence, kwenye matibabu ya magonjwa ya moyo, tafiti mbalimbali za magonjwa ya moyo zilizofanyika nchini Tanzania, Afrika na maeneo mbalimbali duniani kote. Tumeweza kujifunza matibabu ya moyo, upasuaji wa moyo, matibabu ya kutumia njia ya tundu dogo au intervention cardiology, pamoja na masuala ya mitambo kwa kutumia mashine ambazo nimetoka kuonyesha pale kama echo, ECG. Tumeweza kujifunza jinsi ya kuwahudumia wagonjwa mahututi. Kwa hiyo ni vitu vingi ambavyo tumeweza kujifunza, lakini vile vile kitu kikubwa ambacho tumeweza kufanya networking. Tumeweza kupata mashirikiano mengi katika huu mkutano. Wapo maprofesa hawa ambao wamebobea, wametoka nchi mbalimbali, tayari wameshatoa ushirikiano katika kudumisha masuala ya emergency, na Profesa Janabi na Profesa Makubi tayari tulifanya kikao nao jinsi gani tutakavyoweza kusaidia. Wameweza kutusaidia katika program mbalimbali ambazo nchi imeweka hasa kwenye tiba utalii. Kama unavyofahamu, taasisi yetu sasa imekuwa ni chaguo la watu mbalimbali. Kwa hiyo watatusaidia katika kuwawezesha madaktari wetu katika masuala ya tiba na upasuaji. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, napenda kushukuru tena serikali yako kupitia Wizara ya Afya kwa kuwaruhusu washiriki kutoka serikali ya hapa Zanzibar karibu 100 ambao walikuja na wakaungana na wengine ili kuweza kubadilishana mawazo, na hii itakuwa na impact kubwa sana au italeta matokeo chanya hasa kwenye hospitali ambazo wewe Mheshimiwa Rais umezijenga, ambazo umejenga hospitali kubwa za kisasa kule mawilayani na mikoa. Kwa hiyo chochote tulichokuja kufundishwa hapa kitaenda kuwasaidia wale watu wa chini. Naomba tumpigie makofi Mheshimiwa Rais. Mheshimiwa Rais, kama nilivyosema hapo awali, taasisi yetu imeendelea kupata msaada mkubwa kutoka serikali ya Zanzibar. Na hii niliwaambia viongozi wetu, labda niombe management yote kama iko hapa msimame. Management ya taasisi ya moyo na wakuu wa idara wachache mliokuwepo msimame ili mheshimiwa awaone. Mheshimiwa Rais, nimewaambia viongozi wangu lazima turudishe tulichofanyiwa na serikali ya Zanzibar. Tunataka tushirikiane na serikali ya Zanzibar kuanzisha kituo cha moyo pale Lumumba. Tunataka kama mtaturuhusu na mheshimiwa utaturuhusu, tuiendeshe ile kwa miaka 5 ili tuwajengee uwezo. Baada ya miaka 5 wote madaktari wa hapa Zanzibar wataweza kuendelea. Tunataka tutumie mode ile ile tuliyotumia wakati tuko pale Moi. Wakati tunasubiri lile jengo kubwa kujengwa, tunaweza tukatumia hospitali ya Lumumba. Ombi langu kwako, tunaomba mtambo wa cath lab pamoja na kununua vifaa vichache vya upasuaji wa moyo ambavyo tutavitumia hawa madaktari kuja kuanza kufanya. Tuna timu ya kutosha kabisa, wanaweza kuja Zanzibar. Kutoka Zanzibar kuja Dar es Salaam ni saa 1 tu, kwa hiyo tutawapanga, watakuja wakati na madaktari wazawa watakuwa. Hii ndio njia mojawapo itakaoletea tija wananchi wetu. Naomba mkae. Wakati wanapokaa, taasisi ya moyo imekuwa ni moja ya taasisi inakimbiliwa sana hasa katika tiba utalii. Zanzibar ni sehemu kubwa ambapo watalii wengi wanakuja. Watu wanaoumwa watataka kuja kufanya utalii Zanzibar. Taasisi ya moyo itakuwepo pale, itawapa huduma. Kwa hiyo kwa kujenga taasisi ya moyo hapa Zanzibar, tutachochea tiba utalii ambayo itakuwa baadaye na impact kwa wananchi wa chini, kwa sababu hela zile zitakazopatikana zitaweza kusaidia watu wengine. Ombi langu la pili, tunataka kuongeza katika huduma za dharura, hasa kwenye huduma za dharura upande wa moyo vile vile na huduma zingine ambapo Profesa Janabi yuko pale. Tunataka hospitali zote ambazo wewe umewekeza ziweze madaktari waweze kufundishwa kufanya basic life support na advanced life support. Lakini tunataka iende hata kwa watu wa chini, primary care kule, wajue mtu akianguka atafanyaje. Nimewaomba viongozi wangu tushirikiane, sisi tulibebe hilo, halafu hiyo project tuweze kufanya. Hayo ndio maombi yangu mawili. Mwisho, naomba niwashukuru sana watu wote ambao wamekuja kwenye mkutano huu. Mkutano huu utakuwa unafanyika kila mwaka. Utakuwa unafanyika. Na kwa mwaka huu tumeona watu wengi wamekuja hapa Zanzibar na wengine wameshaanza kufanya utalii. Kama itawezekana, Mheshimiwa Rais, najua Zanzibar kuna mahoteli mengi yapo yanaweza kutusponsor kufanya huu mkutano. Kwa hiyo hili ni ombi letu kwako. Tunataka mkutano huu tena ufanyike Zanzibar kwa sababu watu wamependa sana Zanzibar. Mwisho, nawatakia nyote safari salama ya kurudi nyumbani. Safari zenu ziwe za furaha mkirejea nyumbani kwa wapendwa wenu. Tunatarajia kuwakaribisha tena Tanzania kwa mkutano mwingine. Mungu awabariki, na mkutano huu tutakwenda kutangaza, utaonekana kwenye website mwakani. Mungu awabariki sana.
Asante sana. Naomba tumuongezee makofi. Mkurugenzi mtendaji anafanya kazi nzuri sana. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, washiriki wote, kwa muda huu naomba niweze kuwakaribisha kuangalia makala fupi ya JKCI.
Karibu sana studio.
At the Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, every heartbeat counts. Here, hope meets healing. Located in Tanzania's commercial capital, Dar es Salaam, it's an emblem of cutting-edge cardiovascular services. A place where the beats of life echo through the corridors of compassion. A place where your heart's health is not just a mission, it's our commitment.
The institute is equipped with the state-of-the-art modern equipment in theater and also in cath lab. It's one of the top volume center in Africa for doing procedure in both cath lab and open heart surgery. Our mortality rate is very low, less than 3%, and we do procedure in cath lab from simple to complex.
With a 158-bed capacity, JKCI is a government-owned national specialized and university teaching hospital that attends to over 2,000 outpatients and 100 inpatients every week. What sets it apart? JKCI provides evidence-based cardiovascular care, conducts training, and undertakes impactful research.
We conduct quite a number of research activities ranging from the clinical aspect to the community-based research. We've managed to publish over 60 research articles in peer-reviewed journals. We also supervise research activities from students at both basic degree level to master's level to even PhD level.
We serve patients not only from all regions of Tanzania, but also from neighboring countries. From Kenya to Malawi, Comoro Island to Zambia, patients seek solace and healing within the walls of JKCI. Our institute is equipped with ultra-modern technology, state-of-the-art theaters, an intensive care unit, and patient rooms. We have highly qualified staff dedicated to patient care. Basic and advanced investigations, treatment of cardiovascular diseases, cardiothoracic and vascular surgery, and state-of-the-art cath lab services are just the beginning.
We have maintained the international standards because of the infrastructure, because of the equipment that have been invested here. Most of the doctors here have been trained in different countries. So the standard that we have is also at the international standard.
And there's exciting news at JKCI. We're expanding our services to meet growing demands. A new building is under construction, set to broaden the scope of our services. We are introducing new VIP wards and a VIP clinic, increasing the level of comfort and care for our patients. The Institute now boasts a 24-hour pharmacy and labs, ensuring that health services are accessible around the clock. We've introduced a 24-hour ambulance service, responding swiftly to emergencies. JKCI is breaking barriers with operations without waiting lists, ensuring that patients get the care they need promptly. Our commitment to excellence is evident in the incorporation of the latest medical equipment. But it doesn't end there. JKCI has embraced technology for a global impact. We have a telehealth portal where foreign patients can request appointments and consult with our doctors from anywhere in the world.
You can just go on that telehealth portal and you can just select JKCI and then you will see all the doctors that are available, their specialization and what you need. Once you select a doctor, you can register. You'll be able to book what time do you want to do the consultation and what are the services that you need to access.
And here's the surprising part. the cost of treatment at JKCI is more affordable compared to similar institutions worldwide. We're not just a hospital. We're promoting medical tourism in Tanzania.
From the day I arrived at the airport, the services were super. The ambulance driver, the nurse, food was already here waiting for me. The facilities, they are top-notch, sir. Very good facilities. Very good doctors, very good nurses. So now I'm okay.
Nilifanyia operation 2021 mwezi wa 3 tarehe 28. Mpaka sasa naendelea vizuri, na baada ya hapo nilikuja kwa ajili ya kufanya check up, lakini namshukuru Mungu niliendelea vizuri na nikarudi kazini. Mpaka sasa hivi nafanya kazi na maisha yanaendelea.
Mimi nimelazwa hapa Jakaya Kikwete, ni hospitali moja nzuri sana. Kwa kweli wanajituma. Gharama ni ndogo. Mimi nipende kuwaambia Watanzania na wale ambao nje ya Tanzania, kwa Afrika Mashariki yote, kwa kweli tuna hospitali moja nzuri. Tuje Jakaya Kikwete, tutibiwe, tucheki afya zetu. Sio lazima kutibiwa, hata kucheki afya tu nayo ni nzuri zaidi. Unapotembea unakuwa na uhakika kwamba mimi natembea nikiwa salama.
Patients are choosing us for our world-class services at reasonable prices. The vision of JKCI goes beyond borders. We strive to become an internationally accredited institute in cardiovascular care, training and research. In the halls of JKCI, where professionalism meets compassion and innovation meets care. Your heart's health is more than a priority. It's our concern. Together, we're crafting a healthier tomorrow.
Wanasema every heartbeat counts. Afya ya moyo wako ni jukumu letu. Wanafanya kazi nzuri sana. Naomba tuwape maua yao JKCI. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, ratiba inayofuata sasa, kwa ridhaa yako naomba niweze kumkaribisha Bi Asha Resa Izina, kaimu mwenyekiti wa bodi ya wadhamini JKCI, kwa salamu fupi. Karibu sana. Naomba tumpigie makofi.
Mheshimiwa Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi, Mheshimiwa Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, Mheshimiwa Naibu Waziri wa Afya wa Zanzibar, Mheshimiwa Hassan Hamis Hafidh, makatibu wakuu wote mliopo, wajumbe wa bodi ya taasisi ya moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete, wakuu wote wa taasisi, wageni wa kimataifa na wale wa kitaifa, washiriki wote wa mkutano huu na wale wote ambao sijawataja, naomba mtambue kwamba uwepo wenu hapa, bodi ya Jakaya Kikwete inathamini uwepo wenu, inawakaribisha sana. Naomba niwasalimu nyote kwa jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Napenda kutumia fursa hii kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu mwingi wa rehema kwa kutuwezesha kufika hapa tukiwa na afya njema, na kutumia nafasi hii kukusanyika mahali hapa katika kufunga mkutano wetu wa kimataifa wa magonjwa ya moyo ambao unaitwa Heart Team Africa Cardiotan 2024. Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa namna ya kipekee na kwa niaba ya bodi ya wadhamini ya taasisi ya moyo Jakaya Kikwete, nachukua fursa hii kukushukuru na kumshukuru Mungu na kukushukuru wewe binafsi, Mheshimiwa Rais wa Serikali ya Mapinduzi ya Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi, kwa kukubali mwaliko wetu na kuja kufunga mkutano huu wa kimataifa wa magonjwa ya moyo unaoongozwa na kauli mbiu isemayo maendeleo katika utoaji wa huduma za matibabu ya moyo Afrika. Mheshimiwa Rais, mkutano huu umehudhuriwa na wataalamu wengi mbalimbali kutoka ndani na nje ya nchi kama ambavyo ameshaeleza mkurugenzi wa taasisi yetu. Tunaamini katika siku mbili hizi za mkutano huu, wataalamu wote ambao wamehudhuria katika mkutano huu wameweza kujifunza, kupata elimu, lakini pia kujifunza na kubadilishana uzoefu na wataalamu wote ambao wamefika hapa katika mada ambazo zimeweza kuwasilishwa katika mkutano huu. Mheshimiwa Rais, tunapenda pia kuchukua fursa hii kutoa shukrani zetu za dhati kwa washirika lakini pia na wafadhili wote waliotoa michango yao ya aina mbalimbali ambayo imewezesha mkutano huu kufanyika. Tunawashukuru sana kwa nia yao njema na tutaendelea kuwasiliana nao kila tunapoandaa mikutano hii. Mheshimiwa Rais, ili kuhakikisha upatikanaji wa huduma za moyo unaimarishwa kupitia programu mbalimbali na kuwafikia wananchi wa jamii yetu yote yenye uhitaji, katika mwaka 2023 taasisi iliweza kutembelea zaidi ya mikoa 10 ikiwepo mikoa ya Zanzibar, ambapo zaidi ya wagonjwa 2000 walipatiwa matibabu, lakini na wengine walipelekwa katika taasisi ya Jakaya Kikwete ya moyo kwa huduma na matibabu zaidi. Mheshimiwa Rais, kama ilivyoelezwa na mkurugenzi mtendaji wa taasisi yetu ya moyo Dr. Peter Kisenge katika hotuba yake, taasisi imedhamiria kujengea uwezo hospitali za Zanzibar ili ziweze kutoa huduma na matibabu ya magonjwa ya moyo ya kibingwa. Ili kuwezesha hilo, bodi ya wadhamini ya Jakaya Kikwete itaendelea kusimamia na itahakikisha mikakati thabiti na mipango kabambe inawekwa ili taasisi iweze kutekeleza azma hiyo kwa ukamilifu. Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa hayo machache na bila kupoteza muda zaidi, naomba nitumie fursa hii kuzishukuru kwa mara nyingine serikali za Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania na Serikali ya Mapinduzi ya Zanzibar kwa ushirikiano, lakini pia na msaada waliotupatia kwa washiriki wote ili kuweza kufanikisha mkutano huu muhimu ambao tunaamini kwamba umewajengea uwezo wa wataalamu wote ambao wameweza kushiriki hapa, lakini pia na wananchi ambao walikuwa wanatusikiliza kupitia vyombo vya habari. Wadhamini na wadau mbalimbali waliotuchangia kwa namna tofauti kuweza kufanikisha mkutano huu, tunawaombea sana Mwenyezi Mungu awabariki na aendelee kuwatia nguvu waweze kuendelea kushirikiana nasi katika vipindi vyote na vipindi vijavyo. Tunawatakia safari njema wote wale ambao wanasafiri kurudi nyumbani, mfike salama, lakini muendelee kukaribia pale ambapo tunawakaribisha katika mikutano yetu kama hii na katika shughuli mbalimbali ambazo tunazifanya kwa lengo la kuboresha huduma za moyo katika nchi yetu, lakini pia na nchi jirani. Asanteni sana. Mungu ibariki Afrika, Mungu ibariki Tanzania. Tunawashukuru.
Asante sana kaimu mwenyekiti wa bodi ya wadhamini, tunashukuru kwa salamu hizo. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, kwa ridhaa yako sasa, kwa heshima na unyenyekevu mkubwa, naomba niweze kumkaribisha naibu waziri wa afya upande wa Zanzibar, ndugu yetu Mheshimiwa Hassan Hamis Safir, aweze kutoa salamu za ukaribisho, na mbali na mambo mengine ataweza kukukaribisha Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi uweze kuongea na hadhara hii. Makofi mengi kwa Mheshimiwa naibu waziri. Karibu sana.
Mheshimiwa Daktari Hussein Ali Hassan Mwinyi, Rais wa Zanzibar na mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi, ndugu kaimu katibu mkuu Wizara ya Afya Zanzibar, Bi Asha Resa Zina, mwenyekiti ya bodi wa wadhamini ya JKCI, mkurugenzi mtendaji Dr. Peter Kisenge, mkurugenzi mtendaji wa hospitali ya Muhimbili Dr. Jinabi, wakurugenzi mbalimbali kutoka Wizara ya Afya wa serikali ya SMT na SMZ, balozi mstaafu wa Tanzania nchini Uingereza mama yangu, Benaidi Majaa, diplomats, development partners, medical experts from outside of Tanzania and from Tanzania, wakuu wa vikosi vya ulinzi na usalama, mabibi na mabwana, salamu alaikum, habari ya jioni. Mheshimiwa Rais, kwanza kabisa sote kwa pamoja hatuna budi kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kutujalia afya na uzima wa sote kutufikisha hapa leo kuweza kufanya jambo hili kubwa la kutufungia Heart Team African Cardio. Mheshimiwa Rais, tunamshukuru Mungu, lakini pia tunakushukuru wewe. Lakini mbili, kukushukuru wewe Mheshimiwa Rais kwa kukubali kwa mgeni rasmi wa kuja kufunga hafla hii iliyofanyika Zanzibar kwa siku mbili. Maandalizi yake yalikuwa ni makubwa na mazuri. Ni matumaini yangu Mheshimiwa umeiona na imefana, kwa sababu Waswahili wanasema shughuli ni watu na watu wamefika. Tunawashukuru sana waandaaji, asanteni sana. Mheshimiwa Rais, tatu, tunashukuru JKCI kwa kuona umuhimu wa kuja kulifanya shughuli hii Zanzibar. Tanzania ni kubwa, ina mikoa mingi, ina maeneo mengi, lakini ikaona Zanzibar ndio pahali pekee pa kuja kufanya shughuli hii, na wameomba waje kuifanya tena. Najua utawakubalia Mheshimiwa Rais. Jana niliwaambia maneno ya Nelson Mandela kwamba aliposhuka Zanzibar alisema he has landed paradise of Africa and motherland of West Africa, Zanzibar. Na kama utakumbuka maneno ya Rais wa awamu ya pili wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, Mzee Ali Hassan Mwinyi, alisema Zanzibar ni njema, atakaye na aje. Kwa hiyo karibuni sana Zanzibar. Mheshimiwa Rais, baada ya shukrani hizo, jukumu langu ni kutoa salamu pamoja na kukaribisha. Lakini kwa heshima na taadhima, kabla sijakukaribisha, naomba sasa uniruhusu kidogo nitoe hizo salamu, alafu niseme machache. Salamu nimeshatoa, sasa niseme hayo machache. Mheshimiwa Rais, nakushukuru kwa kuniruhusu. Mheshimiwa Rais, tunakushukuru sana kwa upande wa Zanzibar na Tanzania kwa jumla kwa kuwa rais wa Zanzibar na kutufanyia mambo mazuri mpaka leo kwa kipindi cha miaka mitatu. Mheshimiwa Rais, si siri, asiyetaka kuona atakuwa tu haoni, na Mwenyezi Mungu lakini atamjalia aone. Tangu umekuwa rais, Zanzibar inaendelea siku hadi siku, hasa katika sekta ambayo mimi ninaisimamia, sekta ya afya. Mimi ni diaspora na mama yangu Bibi Mwanaidi anajua tumezoea huduma za kiafya za kiulaya, hasa nchini Uingereza. Unakuwa una confidence. Sasa nilipokuja Zanzibar ndo kwetu nimezaliwa, lakini ulipokuwa unakwenda baadhi ya hospitali yetu unasema oh my God. Lakini tunakushukuru, tangu umekuwa rais umetujengea hospitali 10 za wilaya, zina hadhi. Ukianzia majengo yanapendeza, ile environment iko vizuri, lakini si majengo. Mheshimiwa Rais, hospitali ukianza mazingira mazuri, lakini vifaa, tunakushukuru umetuwekea vifaa vya kileo vinavyokwenda na wakati. Tumetumia pale Mheshimiwa Rais, tunakushukuru. Vifaa tulivyo navyo, unaweza ukafanya x-ray, ukafanya chochote kile, ukaweza kukiona India, ukaweza kukiona Marekani, ukaweza kukiona Uingereza, ni worldwide unaweza kuviona. Yote hiyo ni kazi yako wewe Mheshimiwa Rais, tunakushukuru sana. Lakini wataalamu kila uchao Mheshimiwa, tunaendelea kuajiri wataalamu ili ile azma yako uliyoikusudia Zanzibar lazima itoe huduma bora ya afya, lazima iweze kupatikana. Mheshimiwa, tunakushukuru. Lakini Mheshimiwa Rais, pia tunakushukuru, tumejenga hospitali nyingine pale Lumumba, ni hospitali ya mkoa. Zanzibar ina wilaya 10. Kila wilaya leo ukipita ina hospitali nzuri. Maana yake kwamba Zanzibar sasa tunakwenda kuiweka katika ile referral system. Ukianza kule primary health care, unakuja district, unakuja regional, unakwenda katika super specialized area ambayo itakuwa ni hospitali ya Mnazi Mmoja, and then ile super of the super ambayo tunakwenda kuijenga Binguni, itakuwa ndo the best hospital. Sasa ikibidi umeandikiwa kufa tu ukitoka Lumumba, tena itabidi tutangulie, huna sababu ya kubakia. Lakini kwa kusudio la Mheshimiwa Rais alilolikusudia kwamba pale tutaweza kuokoa maisha ya kila mtu, lakini ikiwa tena ndo siku yako imefika, you have no way, you have to go. Ndio ukweli. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa, tunakushukuru kwa kutaka kuhakikisha kwamba tunakwenda kuokoa maisha ya watu na umetilia nia jambo hili, tunakushukuru sana. Lakini tunawashukuru sana JKCI na Muhimbili. Mheshimiwa, tumekuwa tuna mashirikiano mema ya karibu sana, mashirikiano mazuri. Wagonjwa wetu tunapowapeleka hawadharau, wanawaatendi vizuri na wagonjwa wanakuja wanatusifia, tunakushukuru. Hii ndio Utanzania tunaotaka. Tanzania ni nchi moja. Mheshimiwa Rais, tunakushukuru sana, lakini tunawashukuru sana JKCI pamoja na Muhimbili, Dr. Jenabi na Dr. Kisenge. Tunawashukuruni sana, kazi mnaoifanya ni nzuri. Mheshimiwa Rais, katika kuleta ile referral system tunayo Lumumba. Meona hapa Dr. Kisenge ameomba mambo mengi sana kwa hospitali Lumumba. Ile hospitali kuna baadhi ya watu mliwaalika jana wakaitembelee, na kila alokuja aliniuliza, ile hospitali imejengwa Zanzibar? Namwambia pale ni Zanzibar, sio Uingereza, pale ni Zanzibar. Kwa hivyo tunakushukuru Mheshimiwa sana. Lakini after research we have realized kwamba baadhi ya changamoto katika vitu vingi vya serikali hasa katika uendeshaji, yani tunaita management and operation. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Rais wetu amekuja na another way, kama yale maneno aliyosema Margaret Thatcher, if you want to develop, don't leave aside private sector. Mheshimiwa Rais ameinvolve private sector ili tuweze kwenda ya kutoa huduma bora ya afya. Tume-outsource vipimo, yani laboratory na image. Tume-outsource dawa. Jana nilisema hapa, ilikuwa ukiandikiwa dawa Zanzibar them days unapata 2 1. Leo mgonjwa wa pressure anakwenda hospitali anakuwa hapati dawa. Maana yake nini? It's like you have signed his death warrant, don't you? Yes. Kwa hivyo leo lakini Dr. Mwinyi umeweza kuhakikisha kwamba dawa mgonjwa katika mfumo wa outsource kama Ulaya hawezi kuambiwa dawa hakuna. Dawa zote zipo, 6 utapata 6, na ukitaka ya ziada utapata, na ushahidi nenda katika hospitali ya wilaya pamoja na hospitali ya Lumumba. Lakini Mheshimiwa Rais, Mzee Karume alisema sio kila anofika hospitali anaumwa, wengine wana njaa. Na nukuu maneno ya Mzee Karume. Dr. Mwinyi umesema wagonjwa wakilazwa hospitali wapewe chakula tena kwa menyu. Tunawapa chakula kwa menyu. Ukitoka pale kama kwako ulikuwa huli, utakuwa pale umeshiba, utapoa haraka. Tunakushukuru. Lakini la mwisho tunalokushukuru Mheshimiwa Rais kwa kuja na mfumo wa kuanzisha mfuko wa bima ya afya. Mheshimiwa, changamoto nyingi za kutoa huduma bora ya afya zilikuwa zinakwaza kwa sababu ya pesa. Kwa Zanzibar tunategemea watalii. Tumeona how corona hapa ilivyokuja ili tu treat. Hizi nchi za kutegemea watalii sote income yetu ilishuka. Umekuja na mfuko wa bima ya afya. I'll give you an example. Uingereza walianzisha mfuko wa bima ya afya 1934. Sweden 1909. German walianzisha. Rwanda wameanzisha 1997 wameanzisha. Ghana wameanzisha. Nchi zote hizo tunazozisema zina mfuko wa huduma ya afya kuhakikisha kunapatikana sustainability ya income ili zile huduma ziweze kuwa bora. Na sisi Zanzibar tumeanzisha mfuko wa huduma ya afya. Maana yake nini? Kwa kila Mzanzibari aliyokuwa Zanzibar atakuwa ana bima ya afya wote, kwamba hapo ndipo Dr. Mwinyi sasa aliposema huduma ya afya ya Zanzibar lazima itakuwa bora. Tunakushukuru sana. Kwa sababu pesa za kutosha tutakuwa tunazo na kila mwananchi atakuwa na bima. Kwa hivyo hakuna sababu mwananchi akose huduma bora ya afya. Hiyo ni kazi ya Dr. Mwinyi. Mheshimiwa Rais, sisi Wazanzibari na Watanzania kwa jumla hatuna la kukulipa. Atakayekulipa ni Mwenyezi Mungu, bali ni kukuombea dua uendelee kuwa rais wa Zanzibar mwenye afya njema, uwezo na nia safi kama ulionayo, ili uweze kuendelea kutuongoza. Na mimi ni mwanasiasa. Sasa kuna siasa huwa tunasema rais anakwenda with merit. Kwa hivyo kwa merit hii uliyofanyia, basi lazima Mheshimiwa Rais mitano tena ipo. Na kushukuru Mheshimiwa Rais, karibu.
Tumkaribishe kwa makofi.
Asante Asanteni, tukae. Wakati naibu waziri wa afya anasimama kwenda kwenye jukwaa, nilikuwa naangalia watu, naona wanacheka. Kasema mbona wanacheka kabla hajasema kitu? Kumbe wameshamzoea maneno yake. Mheshimiwa Hassan Hamis Hafidh, naibu waziri wa afya wa Zanzibar, kaimu katibu mkuu wa Wizara ya Afya Zanzibar Dr. Amur, mkurugenzi mtendaji wa taasisi ya moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete Dr. Peter Kisenge, Dr. Asha Mahita, mwakilishi wa Wizara ya Afya Tanzania, mkurugenzi mtendaji wa Hospitali ya Taifa ya Muhimbili Dr. Professor Mohamed Janabi, kaimu mwenyekiti wa bodi ya wadhamini ya JKCI Bi Asha Izina, ndugu waandishi wa habari, ndugu wageni waalikwa, mabibi na mabwana, assalamu alaikum. Naomba nianze kwa kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu mwingi wa rehema kwa kutujalia uhai na afya njema na kutuwezesha kuhudhuria katika shughuli hii ya ufungaji wa kongamano la timu ya wataalamu wa moyo Africa Cardiotan mwaka 2024 linalofanyika hapa Zanzibar. Natoa shukrani kwa washiriki wote ambao mmetoka nje na ndani ya Tanzania kwa kushiriki kongamano hili. Ni matumaini yangu kwamba ujuzi uliopatikana na ushirikiano utakaoundwa baada ya kongamano hili utachangia kwa kiasi kikubwa kuboresha matokeo na kuimarika kwa afya za watu walioathirika na magonjwa yasiyo ya kuambukiza pamoja na magonjwa ya hali ya mfumo wa moyo na mishipa ya damu. Natoa shukrani zangu za dhati kwa waandaaji wa kongamano hili kutoka taasisi ya moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete na Wizara ya Afya Bara na Zanzibar kwa kunialika kuwa mgeni rasmi katika ufungaji wa kongamano hili. Kwa hakika kufanyika kwa kongamano hili hapa Zanzibar ni ushahidi wa juhudi na ushirikiano uliopo wa wizara zetu mbili katika kukuza huduma za afya kwa wananchi kupitia mbinu ya kubadilishana maarifa na kukuza uvumbuzi katika tafiti mbalimbali. Naipongeza sana timu ya maandalizi kwa kazi nzuri mlioifanya ambayo imefanya kongamano hili kufanikiwa kwa kiasi kikubwa. Hongereni sana. Ndugu washiriki wa kongamano, nimesikia kutoka kwa mkurugenzi mtendaji wa taasisi ya moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete kuhusu mafanikio makubwa na mipango iliyotekelezwa hadi sasa. Serikali ya Zanzibar iko tayari kukuza ushirikiano na kutenga rasilimali ili kuendeleza zaidi juhudi za utafiti, kinga na matibabu ya magonjwa ya moyo na mishipa ya damu. Tunayo matumaini makubwa kuwa kwa pamoja tunaweza kuleta mabadiliko makubwa katika kuboresha matokeo ya athari za magonjwa ya moyo kwa kila mmoja wetu hapa nchini. Ndugu washiriki wa kongamano, mabibi na mabwana, kwa madhumuni ya kuboresha huduma za magonjwa ya mfumo wa moyo na mishipa ya damu, serikali ya Zanzibar itashirikiana na taasisi ya moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete na taasisi nyingine duniani. Ushirikiano huu utahakikisha kuwa wagonjwa wa Zanzibar wanaogundulika kuwa na magonjwa hayo wanapata huduma na matibabu ya dharura kwa wakati ili kupambana na vifo vinavyoweza kuepukika. Naielekeza Wizara ya Afya Zanzibar kujadiliana na taasisi ya moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete ili huduma ya upasuaji ianze kutolewa ndani ya kipindi kifupi kijacho hapa Zanzibar. Ushirikiano wetu na taasisi ya moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete unalenga kupunguza athari na matatizo yanayoweza kuhusishwa na kuchelewa kwa matibabu ambayo hatimaye itaokoa maisha ya wananchi na wageni wanaoitembelea Zanzibar wanapokutwa na dharura ya maradhi hayo. Kwa hakika hii ni hatua muhimu katika utekelezaji wa dhamira ya serikali ya kuzidi kuimarisha huduma za afya hapa Zanzibar. Ndugu washiriki wa kongamano, serikali inafanya juhudi ili kuhakikisha wananchi wengi zaidi wenye tatizo la maradhi ya moyo wanapata faraja kwa kuishi maisha ya furaha, kwa kutekeleza mkakati wa taifa wa kupunguza matumizi ya vyakula vinavyohusishwa na sababu za magonjwa ya moyo. Mkakati huu ni pamoja na kukuza afya, kushauriwa na wataalamu na kuwa na kawaida ya kufanya mazoezi. Serikali ya Zanzibar imedhamiria kupambana na maradhi ya moyo kwa kuendelea kutoa elimu ya afya kwa umma na kuimarisha miundombinu, upatikanaji wa dawa, vifaa tiba na wataalamu ili kufikia malengo tuliyojiwekea. Ndugu washiriki wa kongamano, mabibi na mabwana, pamoja na kuwepo kwenu hapa kwa ajili ya kushiriki kongamano hili, nichukue fursa hii kuwakaribisha nyote kutembelea vivutio mbalimbali vya utalii tulivyo navyo. Sote tunafahamu nchi yetu ina dhamira pia ya kukuza utalii, ukiwemo utalii wa matibabu. Hivyo Zanzibar ina fursa ya kipekee tukiwekeza kwa wageni kuweza kuchanganya mapumziko yao na kuwa na uhakika wa huduma za afya zenye viwango wakati wanapokuwa hapa nchini. Ni dhahiri tukiwa na vifaa vya kisasa na wataalamu wa matibabu waliobobea, nchi yetu itakuwa ni kivutio kwa wale wanaotafuta mapumziko na kupata matibabu kwa wakati mmoja. Ndugu washiriki, mabibi na mabwana, namalizia hotuba yangu kwa kuwashukuru tena washiriki wote kwa ushiriki wenu katika mkutano huu ambao ni hatua muhimu kwa jamii ya wataalamu wa magonjwa ya moyo na mustakbal wa huduma ya moyo hapa Tanzania. Natambua uwepo wa wawakilishi kutoka Marekani, Misri, Uturuki, Ujerumani, India, Poland, Uhispania, Sudani ya Kusini, Uganda na Kenya, pamoja na washiriki wote kutoka ndani ya nchi yetu. Ushiriki wa kila mmoja wenu unaonyesha nia ya kitaifa na kimataifa ya kujitolea katika kuendeleza huduma ya kudhibiti magonjwa ya moyo na kutoa matibabu ya mfumo wa moyo hapa nchini. Bila shaka, uzoefu wa utaalamu wa washiriki wa kongamano hili utapelekea kupatikana manufaa na ushirikiano utakaowanufaisha wagonjwa sio tu hapa Tanzania bali duniani kote. Nakushukuruni sana. Kabla sijamaliza, ningependa niseme machache kuhusu yale ambayo yalitolewa na Dr. Kisenge pale, kwamba tushirikiane nao katika kuifanya hospitali ya Lumumba kuwa na kitengo cha kuhudumia wagonjwa wa moyo. Nataka nimweleze kwamba kama serikali tuko tayari. Tuko tayari kushirikiana nao ili tuweze kujenga uwezo wa ndani, lakini vile vile tuweze kupata msaada kutoka kwao. Nakumbuka wakati JKCI inaanzishwa, mimi nilikuwa Wizara ya Afya pale. Natambua wao walivyoanza. Walianza kwa msaada wa watu kutoka nje, wamejenga uwezo, mambo mengi sasa hivi wanayafanya wenyewe. Ingekuwa vizuri wao wakaja wakatujengea uwezo hapa Zanzibar, ili baada ya miaka 5 kama unavyosema, na wataalamu wa Zanzibar waweze kuendelea wao wenyewe. Kwa hivyo ili hilo lifanikiwe, na kuahidi kwamba serikali yangu itawekeza kwenye vifaa vinavyohitajika ili tuweze kuanza kwa haraka iwezekanavyo. Kuhusu ombi la kwamba mkutano hii, kwa sababu sasa ni ya kila mwaka, kwamba mkutano ujao pia ufanyike Zanzibar, sisi tunalipenda sana ombi hilo. Maana mkiwepo hapa, si tu kwamba tunanufaika katika swala la afya, lakini tunanufaika na mahoteli yetu yanapata wateja. Madreva wetu wa teksi wana kicheko tu sasa hivi. Kwa hiyo kila mkiwepo hapa kwetu sisi ni faraja. Kwa hivyo nimelipokea ombi hili na tutajitahidi kutafuta wadhamini ili muweze kurudi tena Zanzibar tena kwa wingi kuliko huu wa mwaka huu. Na kutakieni nyote safari njema ya kurudi nyumbani. Karibuni tena Tanzania. Kwa wale wageni wetu kutoka nje, karibuni Zanzibar. Baada ya kusema hayo, sasa napenda nitamke kuwa kongamano hili la timu ya wataalamu wa moyo Cardiotan Africa 2024 limefungwa rasmi. Asanteni sana kwa kunisikia.
Asante sana. Naomba tushangilie tena. Tunakushukuru sana Mheshimiwa Rais. Makofi tena. Tunakushukuru sana Mheshimiwa Rais kwa hotuba nzuri, lakini pia kwa kuweza kufunga mkutano huu wa kimataifa wa magonjwa ya moyo. Tunasema asante sana. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, zoezi linalofuata sasa hivi ni picha za makundi, na baada ya picha tutaweza kumaliza kwa utoaji wa tuzo au zawadi. Niwaombe wale wote ambao nitawakaribisha mbele kwa ajili ya zoezi hili, basi utaingia kupitia ngazi zilizoko mkono ule wa kulia na utaweza kutoka katika upande wangu niliosimama hapa. Picha ya kwanza, tutaanza na picha ya meza kuu. Viongozi wetu wa meza kuu, tafadhali wapiga picha, naomba mjiongee. Wakati huo ni waombe uongozi na uwakilishi wa Wizara ya Afya pamoja na wakuu wote wa taasisi, naomba muweze kusimama pale mkono wangu wa kulia pale kwenye ile meza. Uongozi na uwakilishi wa Wizara ya Afya na wakuu wa taasisi. Tunapata picha ya kwanza ambayo ni ya meza kuu. Asante sana. Naomba sasa niwapandishe uongozi na uwakilishi wa wizara yetu ya afya na wakuu wa taasisi. Wakati huo naomba bodi ya wadhamini taasisi ya moyo Jakaya Kikwete, naomba muweze kusogea pale mbele. Asanteni sana, naomba mshuke kupitia upande wangu. Niwakaribishe bodi ya wadhamini. Naomba management ya taasisi ya moyo Jakaya Kikwete, karibuni muweze kusogea upande ule. Asante, karibu management. Wakati huo wadhamini wakuu, wale wote wadhamini wakuu ambao mmeweza kupewa taarifa, tafadhali naomba msogee upande ule wa kulia. Raj Medical Distributors, Pacific, Global, Anutha, Barrick Farmers, Castmates, MQA, tafadhali kwa haraka naomba msogee pale wadhamini wakuu. Sun Pharma, Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, tumekuwa na wadhamini wengi, na hawa ni kwa uwakilishi, wakiwa wao ndo wadhamini wakuu waliofanikisha mkutano huu. Tunawashukuru sana, karibuni kwa picha. our foreign delegates from USA, Poland, and Turkey. You are kindly requested to go there on the stage for the group photo. Neema, tafadhali hawa wageni wanaomba kwa picha kwanza. Neema, wageni wanaomba kwa picha kwanza. Our delegates, you are invited for a group photo with the guest of honor. Makofi kwa wageni wetu, wametoka mbali sana. Tunawashukuru sana. Thank you so much. Kamati ya maandalizi, tafadhali naomba mjiongee upande ule kwa haraka kidogo. Kamati ya maandalizi. Kamati ya maandalizi. Thank you so much. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, na hiyo ndo kamati ya maandalizi ya mkutano huu wa kimataifa wa magonjwa ya moyo. Wamefanya kazi nzuri sana. Naomba tuwapigie makofi wakiwa wanapanda hapo juu. Tunaweza tukapiga picha mbili, tukaishi hapo kwa Zuhura na wengine mtafuata kundi linalofuata. Asante, nikaribishe kundi la pili. Asanteni. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, na zoezi letu linalofuata ni utoaji wa tuzo na zawadi kwa washiriki mbalimbali ambao kwa namna moja au nyingine wamekuwa na mchango mkubwa katika sekta hii ya moyo, lakini pia katika taasisi yetu ya JKCI. Kwa heshima na unyenyekevu mkubwa, Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, ni kuombe sasa na meza kuu muweze kujongea katika sehemu hii ya chini ili tuweze kuendelea na zoezi hili. Asante sana. Tuzo yetu ya kwanza ni upande wa abstract, na nitaanza na Best Abstract Cardiovascular Surgery, na hii inaenda kwa si mwingine ni Josea Ruturi. Karibu sana Josea. Karibu kwa waraka. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, itakayofuata ni Best Clinical Cardiology Abstract, na yenyewe inaenda kwa Nakigunda Kiroga. Nakigunda, tafadhali naomba usogee mbele. Tumpigie tena makofi. Na kwa upande wa abstract ya mwisho ni Best Abstract in Cardiovascular Prevention, na yenyewe inaenda kwa Pedro Palanjo. Pedro, kwa waraka kidogo. Baada ya hizo, Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, zinazofuata ni za sponsors. Naomba nimkaribishe mbele GE Healthcare. Na tunamshukuru kwa mchango wake mkubwa katika mkutano wetu wa kisayansi katika kutoa elimu kwa kutumia teknolojia mpya ya echocardiogram. Sponsor wa pili ni mlete kwenu Raj Medical Distributors. Asante sana kwa mchango wako mkubwa katika kufanikisha mkutano huu. Nimkaribishe Pacific Diagnostic. Asante sana Pacific kwa kufanikisha mkutano huu. Nimlete kwenu Global Fix. Global Fix. Karibu Anutha Transluma. Tunakushukuru sana kwa kuweza kufanikisha mkutano huu. Niwakaribishe Barrick Farmers. Wakati huo Cosmetics, karibu sana. Nawe tunakushukuru sana kwa mchango wako mkubwa kufanikisha mkutano huu. Huyo ni Cosmetics. Nimlete kwenu MCure. Na kwa upande wa sponsors watamaliziwa na Sun Pharma. Karibu sana Sun Pharma. Lakini tunawashukuru wote, hawa ni kwa uwakilishi, tunashukuru wote ambao wamekuwa wadhamini wa mkutano huu. Karibu Sun Pharma. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, baada ya zawadi hizo za sponsor, zawadi zinazofuata ni kwa washiriki watatu, na hizi zimetolewa kwa hisani ya Micro Labs walioweza kujibu maswali vizuri kuhusiana na magonjwa ya moyo. Zawadi ya kwanza inaenda kwa Dr. Zara Khan ambaye anatoka Aga Khan Hospital, ndo amekuwa mshindi wa kwanza. Karibu Zara. Na amepewa zawadi ya stethoscope. Makofi mengi kwake kwa hisani kubwa ya Micro Labs. Na mshindi wa pili ni Dr. Faraji Yedenge kutoka JKCI. Hongera sana Dr. Faraji, naye amepata zawadi ya BP machine. Na mshindi wa tatu ni Dr. Julius Chapola all the way from Bugando. Karibu sana. Na amepata zawadi ya glucose machine. Tunawashukuru sana Micro Labs. Tumpigie makofi. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, kwa heshima na unyenyekevu mkubwa, zawadi inayofuata ni ya kwako Mheshimiwa Rais, tukikushukuru sana kwa kuweza kutufungia mkutano wetu, lakini pia kwa mchango wako mkubwa sana unaotoa katika taasisi yetu ya moyo ya Jakaya Kikwete, lakini pia katika sekta ya afya ndani ya nchi yetu ya Tanzania. Tumpigie makofi Mheshimiwa Rais. Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa heshima na unyenyekevu mkubwa tunakushukuru sana kwa kufunga mkutano wetu huu wa kimataifa wa magonjwa ya moyo na ulioandaliwa na taasisi ya moyo Jakaya Kikwete, na hapa ndo tumefika mwisho wa ratiba yetu. Tunakushukuru sana, na naomba sasa tuweze kukuomba uweze kutoka katika eneo hili, na tunasema asante sana.
At the Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, every heartbeat counts. Here, hope meets healing. Located in Tanzania's commercial capital, Dar es Salaam, it's an emblem of cutting-edge cardiovascular services. A place where the beats of life echo through the corridors of compassion. A place where your heart's health is not just a mission, it's our commitment.
The institute is equipped with a state-of-the-art modern equipment in theater and also in cath lab. It's one of the top volume center in Africa for doing procedure in both cath lab and open heart surgery. Our mortality rate is very low, less than 3%, and we do procedure in cath lab from simple to complex.
With a 158-bed capacity, JKCI is a government-owned national specialized and university teaching hospital that attends to over 2,000 outpatients and 100 inpatients every week. What sets it apart? JKCI provides evidence-based cardiovascular care, conducts training, and undertakes impactful research.
We conduct quite a number of research activities ranging from the clinical aspect to the community-based research. We've managed to publish over 60 research articles in peer-reviewed journals. We also supervise research activities from students at both basic degree level to master's level to even PhD level.
We serve patients not only from all regions of Tanzania, but also from neighboring countries. From Kenya to Malawi, Comoro Island to Zambia, patients seek solace and healing within the walls of JKCI. Our institute is equipped with ultra-modern technology, state-of-the-art theaters, an intensive care unit, and patient rooms. We have highly qualified staff dedicated to patient care. Basic and advanced investigations, treatment of cardiovascular diseases, cardiothoracic and vascular surgery, and state-of-the-art cath lab services are just the beginning.
We have maintained the international standards because of the infrastructure, because of the equipment that have been invested here. Most of the doctors here have been trained in different countries. So the standard that we have is also at the international standard.
And there's exciting news at JKCI. We're expanding our services to meet growing demands. A new building is under construction, set to broaden the scope of our services. We are introducing new VIP wards and a VIP clinic, increasing the level of comfort and care for our patients. The Institute now boasts a 24-hour pharmacy and labs, ensuring that health services are accessible around the clock. We've introduced a 24-hour ambulance service, responding swiftly to emergencies. JKCI is breaking barriers with operations without waiting lists, ensuring that patients get the care they need promptly. Our commitment to excellence is evident in the incorporation of the latest medical equipment. But it doesn't end there. JKCI has embraced technology for a global impact. We have a telehealth portal where foreign patients can request appointments and consult with our doctors from anywhere in the world.
You can just go on that telehealth portal and you can just select JKCI and then you will see all the doctors that are available, their specialization and what you need. Once you select a doctor, you can register. You'll be able to book what time do you want to do the consultation and what are the services that you need to access.
And here's the surprising part. The cost of treatment at JKCI is more affordable compared to similar institutions worldwide. We're not just a hospital. We're promoting medical tourism in Tanzania.
From the day I arrived at the airport, the services were super. The ambulance driver, the nurse, food was already here waiting for me. The facilities, they are top-notch, sir. Very good facilities, very good doctors, very good nurses. So now I'm okay.
Nilifanyia operesheni 2021 mwezi wa 3 tarehe 28. Mpaka sasa naendelea vizuri, na baada ya hapo nilikuja kwa ajili ya kufanya check up, lakini namshukuru Mungu niliendelea vizuri na nikarudi kazini. Mpaka sasa hivi nafanya kazi na maisha yanaendelea.
Mimi nimelazwa hapa Jakaya Kikwete, ni hospitali moja nzuri sana. Kwa kweli wanajituma, gharama ni ndogo. Mimi nipende kuwaambia Watanzania na wale ambao nje ya Tanzania, kwa Afrika Mashariki yote, kwa kweli tuna hospitali moja nzuri. Tuje Jakaya Kikwete, tutibiwe, tucheki afya zetu. Sio lazima kutibiwa, hata kucheki afya tu nayo ni nzuri zaidi. Unapotembea unakuwa na uhakika kwamba mimi natembea nikiwa salama.
Patients are choosing us for our world-class services at reasonable prices. The vision of JKCI goes beyond borders. We strive to become an internationally accredited institute in cardiovascular care, training and research. In the halls of JKCI, where professionalism meets compassion and innovation meets care, your heart's health is more than a priority. It's our concern. Together, we're crafting a healthier tomorrow. At the Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, every heartbeat counts. Here, hope meets healing. Located in Tanzania's commercial capital, Dar es Salaam, it's an emblem of cutting-edge cardiovascular services. A place where the beats of life echo through the corridors of compassion. A place where your heart's health is not just a mission, it's our commitment.
The institute is equipped with a state-of-the-art modern equipment in theater and also in cath lab. It's one of the top volume center in Africa for doing procedure in both cath lab and open heart surgery. Our mortality rate is very low, less than 3%, and we do procedure in cath lab from simple to complex.
With a 158-bed capacity, JKCI is a government-owned national specialized and university teaching hospital that attends to over 2,000 outpatients and 100 inpatients every week. What sets it apart? JKCI provides evidence-based cardiovascular care, conducts training, and undertakes impactful research.
We conduct quite a number of research activities ranging from the clinical aspect to the community-based research. We've managed to publish over 60 research articles in peer-reviewed journals. We also supervise research activities from students at both basic degree level to master's level to even PhD level.
We serve patients not only from all regions of Tanzania, but also from neighboring countries. From Kenya to Malawi, Comoro Island to Zambia, patients seek solace and healing within the walls of JKCI. Our institute is equipped with ultra-modern technology, state-of-the-art theaters, an intensive care unit, and patient rooms. We have highly qualified staff dedicated to patient care. Basic and advanced investigations, treatment of cardiovascular diseases, cardiothoracic and vascular surgery, and state-of-the-art cath lab services are just the beginning.
We have maintained the international standards because of the infrastructure, because of the equipment that have been invested here. Most of the doctors here have been trained in different countries. So the standard that we have is also at the international standard.
And there's exciting news at JKCI. We're expanding our services to meet growing demands. A new building is under construction, set to broaden the scope of our services. We are introducing new VIP wards and a VIP clinic, increasing the level of comfort and care for our patients. The Institute now boasts a 24-hour pharmacy and labs, ensuring that health services are accessible around the clock. We've introduced a 24-hour ambulance service, responding swiftly to emergencies. JKCI is breaking barriers with operations without waiting lists, ensuring that patients get the care they need promptly. Our commitment to excellence is evident in the incorporation of the latest medical equipment. But it doesn't end there. JKCI has embraced technology for a global impact. We have a telehealth portal where foreign patients can request appointments and consult with our doctors from anywhere in the world.
You can just go on that telehealth portal and you can just select JKCI, and then you will see all the doctors that are available, their specialization and what you need. Once you select a doctor, you can register. You'll be able to book what time do you want to do the consultation and what are the services that you need to access.
And here's the surprising part. The cost of treatment at JKCI is more affordable compared to similar institutions worldwide. We're not just a hospital. We're promoting medical tourism in Tanzania.
From the day I arrived at the airport, the services were super. The ambulance driver, the nurse, food was already here waiting for me. The facilities, they are top-notch, sir. Very good facilities. Very good doctors, very good nurses. So now I'm okay.
Nilifanyia operesheni 2021 mwezi wa 3 tarehe 28. Mpaka sasa naendelea vizuri, na baada ya hapo nilikuja kwa ajili ya kufanya check up, lakini namshukuru Mungu niliendelea vizuri na nikarudi kazini. Mpaka sasa hivi nafanya kazi na maisha yanaendelea.
Mimi nimelazwa hapa Jakaya Kikwete, ni hospitali moja nzuri sana. Kwa kweli wanajituma. Gharama ni ndogo. Mimi nipende kuwaambia Watanzania na wale ambao nje ya Tanzania, kwa Afrika Mashariki yote. Kwa kweli tuna hospitali moja nzuri. Tuje Jakaya Kikwete, tutibiwe, tucheki afya zetu. Sio lazima kutibiwa, hata kucheki afya tu nayo ni nzuri zaidi. Unapotembea unakuwa na uhakika kwamba mimi natembea nikiwa salama.
Patients are choosing us for our world-class services at reasonable prices. The vision of JKCI goes beyond borders. We strive to become an internationally accredited institute in cardiovascular care, training and research. In the halls of JKCI, where professionalism meets compassion and innovation meets care, your heart's health is more than a priority. It's our concern. Together, we're crafting a healthier tomorrow. At the Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, every heartbeat counts. Here, hope meets healing. Located in Tanzania's commercial capital, Dar es Salaam, it's an emblem of cutting-edge cardiovascular services. A place where the beats of life echo through the corridors of compassion. A place where your heart's health is not just a mission, it's our commitment.
The Institute is equipped with a state-of-the-art modern equipment in theater and also in cath lab. It's one of the top volume center in Africa for doing procedure in both cath lab and open heart surgery. Our mortality rate is very low, less than 3%, and we do procedure in cath lab from simple to complex.
With a 158-bed capacity, JKCI is a government-owned national specialized and university teaching hospital that attends to over 2,000 outpatients and 100 inpatients every week. What sets it apart? JKCI provides evidence-based cardiovascular care, conducts training, and undertakes impactful research.
We
conduct quite a number of research activities ranging from the clinical aspect to the community-based research. We've managed to publish over 60 research articles in peer-reviewed journals. We also supervise research activities from students at both basic degree level to master's level to even PhD level.
We serve patients not only from all regions of Tanzania, but also from neighboring countries. From Kenya to Malawi, Comoro Island to Zambia, patients seek solace and healing within the walls of JKCI. Our institute is equipped with ultra-modern technology, state-of-the-art theaters, an intensive care unit, and patient rooms. We have highly qualified staff dedicated to patient care. Basic and advanced investigations, treatment of cardiovascular diseases, cardiothoracic and vascular surgery, and state-of-the-art cath lab services are just the beginning.
We have maintained the international standards because of the infrastructure, because of the equipment that have been invested here. Most of the doctors here have been trained in different countries. So the standard that we have is also at the international standard.
And there's exciting news at JKCI. We're expanding our services to meet growing demands. A new building is under construction, set to broaden the scope of our services. We are introducing new VIP wards and a VIP clinic, increasing the level of comfort and care for our patients. The Institute now boasts a 24-hour pharmacy and labs, ensuring that health services are accessible around the clock. We've introduced a 24-hour ambulance service, responding swiftly to emergencies. JKCI is breaking barriers with operations without waiting lists, ensuring that patients get the care they need promptly. Our commitment to excellence is evident in the incorporation of the latest medical equipment. But it doesn't end there. JKCI has embraced technology for a global impact. We have a telehealth portal where foreign patients can request appointments and consult with our doctors from anywhere in the world.
You can just go on that telehealth portal and you can just select JKCI and then you will see all the doctors that are available, their specialization and what you need. Once you select a doctor, you can register. You'll be able to book what time do you want to do the consultation and what are the services that you need to access.
And here's the surprising part. The cost of treatment at JKCI is more affordable compared to similar institutions worldwide. We're not just a hospital. We're promoting medical tourism in Tanzania.
From the day I arrived at the airport, the services were super. The ambulance driver, the nurse, food was already here waiting for me. The facilities, they are top-notch, sir. Very good facilities. Very good doctors, very good nurses. So now I'm okay.
Nilifanyia operesheni 2021 mwezi wa 3 tarehe 28. Mpaka sasa naendelea vizuri na baada ya hapo nilikuja kwa ajili ya kufanya check up, lakini namshukuru Mungu niliendelea vizuri na nikarudi kazini. Mpaka sasa hivi nafanya kazi na maisha yanaendelea.
Mimi nimelazwa hapa Jakaya Kikwete, ni hospitali moja nzuri sana. Kwa kweli wanajituma. Gharama ni ndogo. Mimi nipende kuwaambia Watanzania na wale ambao nje ya Tanzania, kwa Afrika Mashariki yote. Kwa kweli tuna hospitali moja nzuri. Tuje Jakaya Kikwete, tutibiwe, tucheki afya zetu. Sio lazima kutibiwa, hata kucheki afya tu. Nayo ni nzuri zaidi. Unapotembea unakuwa na uhakika kwamba mimi natembea nikiwa salama.
Patients are choosing us for our world-class services at reasonable prices. The vision of JKCI goes beyond borders. We strive to become an internationally accredited institute in cardiovascular care, training and research. In the halls of JKCI, where professionalism meets compassion and innovation meets care, your heart's health is more than a priority. It's our concern. Together, we're crafting a healthier tomorrow. At the Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, every heartbeat counts. Here, hope meets healing. Located in Tanzania's commercial capital, Dar es Salaam, it's an emblem of cutting-edge cardiovascular services. A place where the beats of life echo through the corridors of compassion. A place where your heart's health is not just a mission, it's our commitment.
The Institute is equipped with a state-of-the-art modern equipment in theater and also in cath lab. It's one of the top volume center in Africa for doing procedure in both cath lab and open heart surgery. Our mortality rate is very low, less than 3%, and we do procedure in cath lab from simple to complex.
With a 158-bed capacity, JKCI is a government-owned national specialized and university teaching hospital that attends to over 2,000 outpatients and 100 inpatients every week. What sets it apart? JKCI provides evidence-based cardiovascular care, conducts training, and undertakes impactful research.
We conduct quite a number of research activities ranging from the clinical aspect to the community-based research. We've managed to publish over 60 research articles in peer-reviewed journals. We also supervise research activities from students at both basic degree level to master's level to even PhD level.
We serve patients not only from all regions of Tanzania, but also from neighboring countries. From Kenya to Malawi, Comoro Island to Zambia, patients seek solace and healing within the walls of JKCI. Our institute is equipped with ultra-modern technology, state-of-the-art theaters, an intensive care unit, and patient rooms. We have highly qualified staff dedicated to patient care. Basic and advanced investigations, treatment of cardiovascular diseases, cardiothoracic and vascular surgery, and state-of-the-art cath lab services are just the beginning.
We have maintained the international standards because of the infrastructure, because of the equipment that have been invested here. Most of the doctors here have been trained in different countries. So the standard that we have is also at the international standard.
And there's exciting news at JKCI. We're expanding our services to meet growing demands. A new building is under construction, set to broaden the scope of our services. We are introducing new VIP wards and a VIP clinic, increasing the level of comfort and care for our patients. The Institute now boasts a 24-hour pharmacy and labs, ensuring that health services are accessible around the clock. We've introduced a 24-hour ambulance service, responding swiftly to emergencies. JKCI is breaking barriers with operations without waiting lists, ensuring that patients get the care they need promptly. Our commitment to excellence is evident in the incorporation of the latest medical equipment. But it doesn't end there. JKCI has embraced technology for a global impact. We have a telehealth portal where foreign patients can request appointments and consult with our doctors from anywhere in the world.
You can just go on that telehealth portal and you can just select JKCI and then you will see all the doctors that are available, their specialization and what you need. Once you select a doctor, you can register. You'll be able to book what time do you want to do the consultation and what are the services that you need to access.
And here's the surprising part. The cost of treatment at JKCI is more affordable compared to similar institutions worldwide. we're not just a hospital. We're promoting medical tourism in Tanzania.
From the day I arrived at the airport, the services were super. The ambulance driver, the nurse, food was already here waiting for me. The facilities, they are top-notch, sir. Very good facilities. Very good doctors, very good nurses. So now I'm okay.
Nilifanyia operation 2021 mwezi wa 3 tarehe 28. Mpaka sasa naendelea vizuri, na baada ya hapo nilikuja kwa ajili ya kufanya check up, lakini namshukuru Mungu niliendelea vizuri na nikarudi kazini. Mpaka sasa hivi nafanya kazi na maisha yanaendelea.
Mimi nimelazwa hapa Jakaya Kikwete, ni hospitali moja nzuri sana. Kwa kweli wanajituma. Gharama ni ndogo. Mimi nipende kuwaambia Watanzania na wale ambao nje ya Tanzania, kwa Afrika Mashariki yote, kwa kweli tuna hospitali moja nzuri. Tuje Jakaya Kikwete, tutibiwe, tucheki afya zetu. Sio lazima kutibiwa, hata kucheki afya tu nayo ni nzuri zaidi. Unapotembea unakuwa na uhakika kwamba mimi natembea nikiwa salama.
Patients are choosing us for our world-class services at reasonable prices. The vision of JKCI goes beyond borders. We strive to become an internationally accredited institute in cardiovascular care, training and research. In the halls of JKCI, where professionalism meets compassion and innovation meets care, your heart's health is more than a priority. It's our concern. Together, we're crafting a healthier tomorrow. At the Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, every heartbeat counts. Here, hope meets healing. Located in Tanzania's commercial capital, Dar es Salaam, it's an emblem of cutting-edge cardiovascular services. A place where the beats of life echo through the corridors of compassion. A place where your heart's health is not just a mission, it's our commitment.
The institute is equipped with a state-of-the-art modern equipment in theater and also in cath lab. It's one of the top volume center in Africa for doing procedure in both cath lab and open heart surgery. Our mortality rate is very low, less than 3%, and we do procedure in cath lab from simple to complex.
With a 158-bed capacity, JKCI is a government-owned national specialized and university teaching hospital that attends to over 2,000 outpatients and 100 inpatients every week. What sets it apart? JKCI provides evidence-based cardiovascular care, conducts training, and undertakes impactful research.
We conduct quite a number of research activities ranging from the clinical aspect to the community-based research. We've managed to publish over 60 research articles in peer-reviewed journals. We also supervise research activities from students at both basic degree level to master's level to even PhD level.
We serve patients not only from all regions of Tanzania, but also from neighboring countries. From Kenya to Malawi, Comoro Island to Zambia, patients seek solace and healing within the walls of JKCI. Our institute is equipped with ultra-modern technology, state-of-the-art theaters, an intensive care unit, and patient rooms. We have highly qualified staff dedicated to patient care. Basic and advanced investigations, treatment of cardiovascular diseases, cardiothoracic and vascular surgery, and state-of-the-art cath lab services are just the beginning.
We have maintained the international standards because of the infrastructure, because of the equipment that have been invested here. Most of the doctors here have been trained in different countries. So the standard that we have is also at the international standard.
And there's exciting news at JKCI. We're expanding our services to meet growing demands. A new building is under construction, set to broaden the scope of our services. We are introducing new VIP wards and a VIP clinic, increasing the level of comfort and care for our patients. The Institute now boasts a 24-hour pharmacy and labs, ensuring that health services are accessible around the clock. We've introduced a 24-hour ambulance service, responding swiftly to emergencies. JKCI is breaking barriers with operations without waiting lists, ensuring that patients get the care they need promptly. Our commitment to excellence is evident in the incorporation of the latest medical equipment. But it doesn't end there. JKCI has embraced technology for a global impact. We have a telehealth portal where foreign patients can request appointments and consult with our doctors from anywhere in the world.
You can just go on that telehealth portal and you can just select JKCI, and then you will see all the doctors that are available, their specialization and what you need. Once you select a doctor, you can register. You'll be able to book what time do you want to do the consultation and what are the services that you need to access.
And here's the surprising part. The cost of treatment at JKCI is more affordable compared to similar institutions worldwide. We're not just a hospital. We're promoting medical tourism in Tanzania.
From the day I arrived at the airport, the services were super. The ambulance driver, the nurse, food was already here waiting for me. The facilities, they are top-notch, sir. Very good facilities. Very good doctors, very good nurses. So now I'm okay.
Nilifanyia operesheni 2021 mwezi wa 3 tarehe 28. Mpaka sasa naendelea vizuri, na baada ya hapo nilikuja kwa ajili ya kufanya check up, lakini